On the gridiron, success is measured in a 60-minute gauntlet of athletic resilience and mental fortitude. The ability to outplay and outthink one's opponent is the difference between that sweet victory and crushing defeat. And on these 64 squares, much is the same. It's a battle of will, grit, and determination, minus the bone-crushing hits, of course. But what happens when the two cross paths? This.
Oh my goodness.
BlitzChamps is back, but this time the spotlight shines on Stanford University as their squad turn their attention from the field to the chessboard.
Oh, was sneaky, man.
Instead of end zone, it's end game. Instead of quarterback sacks, it's queen sacks. Instead of check downs, it's checkmates. All the metaphors you can handle.
Damn.
With some serious bragging rights among teammates on the line, the locker room trash talk just might be a little elevated this season. So, put the cleats and pads away and get ready to lead your 16 chessmen to glory. This is BlitzChamps Stanford, and it starts now.
On a beautiful 78-degree afternoon in the lovely city of Palo Alto, California, the site of the one and only Stanford University, we welcome you to BlitzChamps Stanford Edition, in which the top Stanford football players will match wits on the football field. No, on the chessboard this time. It is a pleasure to be commentating BlitzChamps Stanford. I am your host, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, and alongside me today, my good friend, International Master Kasemervisz. Kasa, welcome to you. Good afternoon. Are you as excited as I am for this next edition of BlitzChamps?
Hey, Daniel, it is a pleasure to be with you today. It is really, really exciting. I had the pleasure of being a part of the Michigan edition not too long ago, and it's awesome to see the football players battle wits on the chessboard. So, you know, these guys are competitive in typically all aspects of life, and we'll see that come to the fore today.
We will indeed, and we have a very tightly packed field. Ratings really all over the spectrum. Let's take a look at our roster today. Headlining this roster is the kicker, and a star kicker at that. We'll get to that in a bit. But Joshua Karty, organizer of the event, at 1431, close behind David Casimir at 1324. Costa, we've got ratings really all over the place from 100 to 1431, but don't sleep on the players at the bottom of the field. They can definitely punch above their weight, can't they?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, you see time and time again, you know, your rating not necessarily be indicative of the type of player you can be on that particular day. And yeah, it's definitely going to be the case today. I expect at least a few upsets.
Indeed, and one of the people with an X on his back will be Joshua Karty, the kicker, who kicked a 61-yarder in 2022, the longest field goal in Stanford history, and a lot of NFL players haven't kicked a 60-plus yarder. So Karty, with a bright future on the football field, but what will his future entail on the chessboard? Casa, 1431, juicy rating. I'm sure some of his teammates want a chunk of that.
Yeah, this guy is clutch. I mean, that much we know from the 61-yarder. But apparently his favorite streamer is actually Hikaru because of how fast he pre-moves. Danya, maybe he doesn't know about your pre-moves because you're pretty fast as well. But yeah, he's definitely going to be someone that to watch today.
Man, I don't know if I can commentate his games now that he named Hikaru as his favorite streamer. I'll forgive him that. But Joshua Karty is relaxing, stretching those muscles, and so is David Casimir, who is a wide receiver, 1324, and he's widely considered by his teammates to be, Casa, the strongest player on his team. So again, these rapid ratings should be taken with a major grain of salt.
Yeah, I think, you know, we did pair these guys based upon their rapid ratings, but David has a 1500 rated blitz rating. So he is widely regarded by his teammates as the guy to beat, and we'll see if his blitz skills come to the fore today.
Indeed we will, and a look at David Casimir's on the camera there as he gets ready to fire off a couple of chess games, and so will Ari Patu, who is a lower-rated member of the Stanford Cardinal team, on the chessboard, of course, not on the football field, but Ari is one of those X-Factor players who can really punch above his weight. His rating, as we see there, is 617. He is a junior, and the first Stanford true freshman to start at quarterback since 1983. And my trivia knowledge isn't good enough off the top of my head to know who the 1983 player was, but there we see Ari Patu, Kasa. He's definitely going to look to score a couple upsets against his teammates.
Yeah, look, the quarterback of the team is used to being in positions where he's trying to deliver, and I think he is going to be someone to watch as well. Apparently his favorite piece is the queen. I'm very curious to see what he does with the queen today. If he brings it out early, don't
blunder it.
Adages there, but we'll see how his queen works around the board today.
Well, hopefully his queen remains on the chessboard and not in his opponent's clutches, because he's playing a couple of guys who definitely want to capture his queen. Let's have a look at the bracket. Ari Patu has his toughest matchup yet at the very beginning. He faces Joshua Karty. This is a simple bracket. The winners advance to the winners bracket. The semifinals winners advance to the final, and the losers of the semis play a third place match. But everybody gets to play. Even the players who lose in the first round, they play each other in a consolation bracket. Of course, we will focus our commentary on the winners and on the semifinals and the finals, but we will be kind of going around the horn and giving you a sense of how these players play. We'll try to spotlight everybody at least a little bit, but obviously Joshua Karty, David Kasemervisz, they're the two stars, Kasa, and I'm really curious to see if they'll end up facing each other in a high-profile match.
Yeah, we'll see. I will be surprised, actually, if number 1 and number 2 seeds are facing off at the very end. It just rarely happens that way, especially in college sports. So we'll see if it's the same with chess today.
Yeah, it's more likely that number 16 beats number 1, especially after March Madness last year, and especially given the time control, which is caters to upsets. It's 5+0. There's no increment. This is Blitz chess. That's why we call it BlitzChamps. In each mini-match, the first player to score 2.5 points wins the match. The scoring is regular, 1 point for a win, half a point for a draw, and no points for a loss. And in the event of a 2-2 tie, we've got an even faster game, Kasa. So flagging, dirty flagging, it's on the table in the Bullet Championship earlier today. It's on the table in the BlitzChamps right now.
Man, it's just another reason to just be aware of these games. They will not necessarily be over just because someone is up a rook or a queen. The clock will be a factor. So we'll see, we'll also get a chance to see how good these guys are basically converting in the clutch.
Absolutely. And Joshua Karty is used to high pressure moments. He's used to kicking game-winning field goals, but will he be able to make the game-winning move? And on camera there is David Kasemervisz against Fisher Anderson. And Fisher, that's a pretty good name to have if you want to play a chess tournament of any kind.
Even Anderson, not too bad, not too shabby either. But it's funny too, because a lot of the guys that are playing today are on the offensive side of the ball, so they don't actually compete against each other that often. So it'll also be interesting to see, someone like Fisher Anderson being on the O-line, playing against David, a wideout. So it'll be interesting to see these guys on the same side of the ball basically, compete against each other.
It most certainly will, and I will add before the games begin that I have a vested interest in this event because Stanford is my alma mater. So I'm kind of looking at the players' backgrounds, I do recognize the tiles up above Fisher's face. So I'll be adding some of my remembrances from Stanford, but all of that later because the games have officially kicked off. We've got David's game against Fisher, and Fisher says, "You want my queen? Get out of there. C6. Get that bishop back to where it belongs."
Yeah, okay. So right now, David is definitely has a slight lead in development. He's closer to castling. I always like to say for folks that are newer to the game, the side that connects the rooks first is usually the side that wins the game. So I love White's development. That bishop on f5 is a bit loose. There's a lot of stuff going on here, Daniel.
There is a lot of stuff. There's contact between the knight and the bishop. There's contact between the queens. Black can trade the queens and kind of reduce the pressure on the position. A4 is a devilish move. Ignore that question mark. He's setting up bishop b5, which would not win the queen and will not win the queen if Black blocks it with the knight. But I think that's what David is cooking up here.
Yeah, it's funny because if Black actually gets their knight on b8 to c6, which you're diagramming, and then ultimately castles, maybe the bishop pair won't be as big of a problem because Black has a good foothold in the center. But f4, what an aggressive move there.
I think that was an excellent move, opening up the F file. And obviously at this level, Casa, it's less about the positional considerations and more about the material count and the direct tactics. But David's playing an excellent game. He can win a piece here by capturing the bishop, then capturing the queen, and then capturing the knight. Big missed opportunity there, but he still has... Whoa, my mouse fell down. He still has the initiative.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. For sure, white is to be preferred, but I like that Fischer just castled, so definitely doing all right. And okay, knight takes f5. This is a tough decision for Fischer. Okay, he recaptures with that knight on e7. There are tactics now against that knight on f5. Will David go for something taking advantage of that knight on f5? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even get exactly why it's a mistake. Oh, bishop takes the... Oh, take the queen, take the knight. And he has a chance.
Savvy.
Yeah, first he takes the knight, then you take the queen, then you take the other knight. Oh! He's trying to pick it up with a fork rather than a knife, but g6 undoes a lot of the damage costs, and now white can still take the knight, but that's only an extra pawn, and oh man, David did all the hard work, but he didn't pick up the knight when he could have.
Fischer is really hanging in there. It's funny to actually say that out loud, but yeah, this is a really very reasonable defensive ability right now, and you can see maybe there's some potential of a rook coming down to d2, maybe a rook coming to g8, maybe the tide gets turned.
Yes, and rook d2 by Fischer, and Spassky takes on c5 with a check, and now he can return and take it. Just don't get your bishop trapped on h2. White should play rook takes f5 and then travel back to f2, but this is a common mistake among newer players, Casa, where you see a hanging pawn and you defend it, right? You don't think past that, but now black can really activate his rooks and put the heat on white. Instead, he helps the rook get back to f2.
All right, so now this rook is coming to g8, a move too late, arguably, but there's still a lot of pressure with that airy king. And h4, what a move, trying to get things going. I should mention, while we're going over this game, that Jaden did win the first game against CJ Hawkins, so a 1-0 lead there, and they're quickly beginning their second game. So we'll definitely tune into some other action soon, but we have been focused on this one right here.
This is a very highly contested game, a scholar's mate in Jaden's game against CJ Hawkins, so we'll definitely have to look at CJ attempting to equalize the score in that one. But this has been down to, I mean, I could confuse this for an actual Fischer game just looking at the position on the board. Black should take this pawn on g3, and if white recaptures, black has the chance to deliver a perpetual, but oh, wrong way goes Fischer.
Yeah, I think David, again, that's not something you hear every day either, but David is probably trading rooks, and that's the savvy choice. You're up material, you trade, getting a rook off the board. And look at that, we're hearing player action as well. We might actually just listen into them for a moment.
Me and Ari used to play in our first quarter here. Was that Ari?
What's that?
We used to play.
I'm looking up the definition of echo chamber as you're talking.
Yeah, trying to catch that, but
yeah. Wait, Kasim, I mean, you didn't understand exactly what they were saying, man.
Yeah, kind of adversarial over there, but yeah.
Yeah, you get some hints of opponent kind of sniping, but I think the trash talk will increase in severity as the matches get more and more hotly contested. This is winning for white, and look at David understanding that you want to park the rook behind the pawn, ignore the queen side, and walk your king all the way up to h7.
Yeah, I always like to say it's just like going down the yellow brick road, right? Wizard of Oz, yellow brick road. This king is just going to march up the h file. I would love to just play g7 first and then do it, but David has the right idea, and it's really nice to see.
And rook g5, that's an alternate way to win. Good defense by Fischer, bringing his own king. Very heads-up move there. I was going to say yellow brick road, but just don't take the red brick road with stepping onto the g file and blundering the g pawn with check. This is a winning pawn endgame, but let's see if David can convert it.
I trust David to convert this. He very, very, in a very savvy way, decided to eliminate all of black's pieces, and now kind of like Mark Jackson, it's like, can we have this dance? Look at that opposition right there. King is coming to d3. It's looking pretty good. The only question is,
there goes that man.
Yeah, the only question is, how many queens will David need to checkmate? That is the question for us now.
And the biggest thing is avoiding stalemate. I mean, in my experience commentating, newer players. Obviously, we're talking about a 1500 here. That is more than, and he's doing this flawlessly. He's not even he's taking not a single extra tempo on this conversion, walking his king up in par with blacks. There goes king d7, c7 pre-move, and all he has to do is avoid stalemate.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. For folks out there that do want to checkmate quickly, how do you like to do it? I like to do the knight's distance, essentially. So I put the queen on b7 here, and yeah, once the king is cut off along a ranker file, then the king just walks. But we're going to have a ladder mate here, Daniel. We are going to have a ladder mate.
Come on, Kasemervisz. You didn't see that c6 was a huge mistake by white? Yeah, what a terrible conversion by David. How dare you decide to make a queen? A pre-move with queen a8, a smooth, snappy win for the second seed. We can also check into CJ Hawkins' second game against Jaden, which is a surprisingly tame, almost positional game, but we're going to look at our bird's eye view first. I'll let you decide, Kasa, which game we go to next.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually think Jaden's game is the one, actually. Really, really interesting. I do see a position where the black king can't castle yet, but there is, basically Jaden is trying to make that happen, challenging that bishop on d6. Very, very interesting move.
Yeah, 94 is a great move. I'm also mesmerized by the bottom right, which looks like it's something out of a Maiden 2 study, but that's going to be a win for James Pogorelc. We'll trust him with the 6 extra pieces he's got. What is going on here? I'm looking at this position. I'm still counting material. I think material is actually equal. CJ has this bishop parked on d6, but it's a double-edged sword, Kasa, because this bishop could also get stepped on by the queen with queen f6 or even knight f6. So it's very easy to blunder something in a position like this.
Yeah, and I think the reason the engine bar is showing that black is better is because development is really the name of the game. So even though the black king can't castle right now, black is relatively close to getting that done if he's able to evict that bishop on d6. And bishop f8 is a very creative way to do that. Even though the computer's questioning it, I actually think that is a very, very reasonable attempt to try and get the king safe. So good recognition by Jaden.
I'm impressed by, and we're hearing some murmurs there, but I'm impressed with the way the players are keeping their composure in a complicated position. Now I would consider bringing my bishop out to b5, and if you look at the queen, you always want to know what each piece is doing. The queen is applying pressure on c5. Well, what's defending it? Well, one of the defenders is the knight, so it's a logical move to eliminate the knight. Instead, he repositions his queen. Not a bad move either. So far, we're not seeing any major blunders, Kasa, but as the time creeps down, I think that might start to change.
Yeah, let's very, very quickly just give a quick shout-out. Joshua Karty did win his first game against Ari Patu. That was the kicker quarterback matchup right there. So Joshua does have a 1-game lead.
Indeed, he does. Checkmates him with the queen and the knight. We will check into that second game in a little while, but this one is really heating up. Both players under 2 minutes. White taking his time, developing his bishop, and black preparing, I think, to castle queenside. What a heads-up move.
Queen e7 is such a savvy decision, too. Covering, stopping queen e6 check. Now is en passant something that these guys are aware of and going to recognize? That is the question right now.
There's your answer, Kasa.
Oh, they're talking.
Yeah.
They might be listening to us. We might have to watch it.
Oh man, that's so meta. They're listening to us. We're listening to them. And kind of Jaden in a holding pattern here. Bishop c6. I would ignore the eval bar. They're still not making any illogical moves. Knight d2, bringing the knight out. I'm impressed with the composure displayed in a position this complex. Castle's queenside.
Absolutely, yeah. Castle's queenside. Just super cool to see. So we'll see. Will white follow suit and also connect the rooks? We'll find out.
Yeah, and rook c1 is a great move. It would x-ray this bishop on c6. I'm starting to get concerned about the clock, though. Wow, rook c1 played!
Very, very impressive.
Wow. Can't take the pawn now because you dropped the bishop.
So there's actually an unbelievable position I have to draw our attention to between Ari Patu and Joshua Karty. It is absolutely wild.
Okay, let's go there.
The previous, a move or two ago, black was actually in the driver's seat. It appears that white now is the one in the driver's seat, but crazy position. It's just extremely messy. A king is on g6, but black has, a lot of development. A few moves back before castling, before white castled, black had a really nice opportunity to maybe get in there. But,
and it was actually, Kasa, it was an opening trap that's pretty well known. Ari prepared. If we could go to that game for a second, this was a Tennyson gambit, as it is known, and I am stunned by Ari's opening knowledge. In this position, he executed the opening trap, knight f7 and bishop g6, discovered attack against the queen. The problem is that the game isn't over, and Joshua has a kingdom and a horse for the queen, and now he's diving in, and he's about to win the rook on a1. Ari's still winning, but now the situation has gotten a lot more complex.
He did say, if you recall, that he likes the queen, and my gosh, this queen is taking a journey this game. I mean, it's literally probably been made up for half of the moves that white has made so far this position.
Yeah, moves 9, 11, and 12 have been queen takes c7, queen takes b7, and queen takes a7. Oh! No! It's your fault, man. It's your fault.
Commentator's curse, man. That
is
tough.
My gosh. And Ari's laughing.
Yeah, I'm going to win this game.
Yeah, now he's confident. Now there's no question.
Oh, man.
But,
Josh, I don't know if he's going to win this game.
This is a fantastic opening.
Yeah, 100%. Joshua knew he was in trouble. He knew.
Yeah, Ari is down a piece now. I mean, but he's starting to hemorrhage more pawns here. Knight takes g4. Now
this is what we call
will pick off
this is what we call tilt in the business.
Yep. This is what in the chess world is known as minor tilt. You don't even realize it, but then you start giving away all of your other pieces. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Here he goes.
Joshua's talking. He's talking some smack now. He's looking back, and he's probably gonna do this bishop takes f2 move, but we'll see.
You know you've got a good position when you can afford to just lean back and look at your teammates' games. He knows he has this under control. I would even throw another check on d3 out, but he just grabs the rook. He can grab another pawn too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, while we're looking at this one, just shout out to Jaden, who did actually win his second game against CJ Hawkins. So he has a 2-0 lead right now, and he's trying to clinch in the white game, following up right now. So this third game, I see e4, e5, d4, f6. We have some very, very interesting dynamics there. These Josh letting them know it's pretty much game. It's pretty much a game.
Yeah, he'll finish this one. He's got enough time. We could probably go back to the bird's eye view. I think it's clear that Josh is going to step out onto a 2-0 lead. And we also have James Pogorelc, who is also going to get onto a 2-0 lead. I mean, that position is, I don't know what happened to White's pieces, but what pieces? There aren't many of them left. And David Kasemervisz is going to win. Ooh, actually, no. That game's going to be close.
Yeah, it's crazy because this white king is definitely airy, but so is the black king. So there are some chances for Fischer Anderson.
Yeah, let's go to that game and watch its conclusion. White is also down to 30 seconds, and that honestly is a deciding factor in a lot of the games. It's the reason CJ Hawkins lost his second game. It was an equal position at the end, but he flagged. White's king getting driven out onto h3.
Yeah.
Oh, or not.
Rook f3. What are we going to see next? Are we going to see rook a2 check, or maybe rook a3 pin winning? But that's not so easy to see. This going to king pawn endgame would be an attempt. But all right, rook a2. Still, that king on g2 is extremely airy. So we'll see. This king is kind of walking on the wild side here.
Yeah, and the other problem is that White doesn't have any good checks. Like, White can trade queens with queen f5, and I'm saying that in the context of White's clock. He's down to 15 seconds. The only conceivable way that I could see this turning around is some sort of perpetual check or accidental checkmate. And, or queen blunder, no way!
Whoa!
Oh my God. Whoa. But 13 seconds, will he make it in time?
I think he can do it. He has a rook and a queen. There is ladder mate potential there.
But now g7 is protected. He's taking way too long on every move.
Move that
there
rook.
We go. Oh, but David's going to keep his rook on g7. No, he's plundering pieces.
Yeah,
not
savvy
gonna
defense
make
by
it.
David. David knows. David knows.
Bad form, yeah.
Oh man, what a
He
heartbreaker.
could salvage a draw with a repetition of checks, but I don't think he's going to go for it. There's 0.7, and that's going to be it.
That's gonna be it.
Not
He
quite.
needs to take the pawn and the rook. He needs to prime of queen. Oh, what a dirty move.
That is dirty.
Fischer.
And David knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what the deal was.
That was an amazing defensive effort by Fischer Anderson. 400 rated. He played that at least 1,000 points higher than his rating, and he was just a couple of seconds away from being able to take that rook and the pawn.
No question about it. No question about it. I see a really interesting constellation of pawns in Jaden's game. Do you see that C3, D4, C5, D6? That is a beautiful cavalcade of pawns.
That's a great word. Not only that, but the queen has also been hanging for the last, couple of moves.
But he's like, whatever. Look at double discovery right there. Double discovery check.
Gosh. Not only do I see that cavalcade of pawns, but it's probably the first time I've ever seen that pawn structure, like ever. C3, D4, C5, D6. I don't even know how that's reached.
It's art. It's beautiful. Some things don't
There
need
we
to be
go.
explained, Daniel.
Well, that move doesn't need to be explained either.
All right, so Jaden is someone to watch because he is playing extremely convincingly thus far.
How did I not see that?
Yeah, now he just needs to take the bishop. And that, well, the game is not over, but he's up a full queen. Black is paralyzed. He's playing this really, really well. Also well above his rating.
Yeah. Should we jump to James? James, I don't think we've checked out him, and he's has forking intentions on the mind. I think he's looking to play knight c7, and he darts back to c3. Maybe we can get that up. James versus Zach.
Yeah, let's get that up. The score is 2-0 right now in James's favor, but the games have been very hotly contested. They've really come down to the wire. This one, I'm starting to worry for Black's clock a little bit, but it's a pretty tame position.
What I'm loving about a lot of these games so far is there's a lot of great development. A lot of castling. A lot of people are punching above their weight, so it's really great to see.
I think this has probably been true of most players in the last couple of months. I think it's just players are learning opening principles in a more efficient manner and sooner than they used to. So even at like the beginner level, you're seeing a lot of very heads-up moves. Like 95 is actually what I would play there, eliminating Black's only developed piece.
All right, I have to take us somewhere else, Danya.
Yeah.
Joshua is trolling Ari Patu right now.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
moved all his pawns to the third rank. What is going on there?
Whoa, that must be some intra-teammate rivalry right there. He's so confident he can win.
What is this called?
What is this? I think we should just name it the Karty.
The Karty.
I used to do this when I was tilted back in the day.
Did you put the rooks in front of the queen and the king, or where did the pieces? Right. Yeah. Okay.
I hadn't thought that far. I only
okay.
That's above my pay grade.
And look at that. I like Ari attacking the G3 pawn, and then Ari saying, "Oh, that's covered."
The thing is, basically any pawn move is good for Black. Like D4, E4, F4. All you need to do is open the center, and White's position will collapse like a house of cards.
100%. And it's funny because you do see this in a more objectively playable opening in these like E6, E6, G6 type of structures. And it's almost always the same solution of identifying a break and trying to just bust open in the center.
White's White's position smells like, my garage, and I haven't taken the trash out for 4 weeks. Like, there's bugs crawling all over it. Boom, bishop takes e3. Knight c4, bishop f2, a la the previous game, by the way. Ari had the same exact trick to win the queen. Will he find it again?
I think he will. I'm rooting for him to do it. Come on.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, bishop f2 was a queen on a golden platter.
Hey, sometimes it's tough to see that. There's you have this formulaic idea in mind because we were thinking that was prep from before. So this one was a little bit different, but I still like Ari's position. And I'm getting word from our team that that David actually brought a mouse. So he actually came here ready to compete. This was not like he really does want to win this thing. So we'll have to ask him about that later.
All they had to do was visit some of my old dorm rooms. I think they'd probably find a couple half broken mice stashed in like the corners. I'm only half joking.
Is the plural of mouse mice? I've always
it
wondered
is
about
mice.
that.
I think it's mice. I've always said mice, but wait, is the but the plural of a die is dice? Oh, it is dice. Yeah. Okay. I actually don't know.
Curious. I don't know. Good to know.
Maybe somebody in the chat can, the resident linguist, can fill us in.
All right, so Ari's basically fighting for his life right now, right? This is 2-0. He needs to get on the board here and ultimately win because Joshua just needs a draw to advance. So I like the way he's fighting. He's looking at this knight on e3. He might very well take it. It's going in another direction with knight a5. He needs to try and get stay attached to this knight on e3. Get that material back that he just lost in h1.
And by stay attached, you mean take it. Now he also needs to stay attached to his own knight, which can be picked off with bishop d5. That would be a fork. Black can block that fork with his own bishop, and we're going to see that play out. I'm a little bit worried that Ari will instinctively move his king. No, he saw it. Very nice. And now we've got a pretty balanced endgame.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Karty has actually kind of worked itself out. These knights, two pieces tend to be favorable over the rook, and we'll see how well these knights hop around and coordinate. But King f2 was a really good start, just protecting that e3 knight. And now the rook's centralized. This will be highly contested.
Oh, rook d2 will pick off a minor piece. That's a fork. And by the way, James Pogorelc has advanced. He's defeated Zach Buckley 3-0.
That is a pretty checkmate, by the way.
That he delivered in his third game?
Yeah, this queen d6 mate is beautiful. Like art.
Very nice. Yeah, he very pog mate, shall I say.
All right, so
bishop d1. Oh.
One there. All right, so things are hanging. Bishop on d2 is hanging.
The knight.
d2 is hanging. The knight is hanging. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah. Oh, and he took the wrong piece with the wrong piece. And now there's not as many pieces hanging from White's perspective. But the bishop is still hanging. At least you have to bring that bishop back. I think Joshua should be taking this one, though.
Yeah. We also have Siege. Jaden is about to play he is playing his third game against CJ, and they are essentially repeating a setup they already had, which will be interesting to take a peek at.
You're saying Jaden against CJ? Oh, they had this before, the c3, d4, and e3 thing.
Yeah. This is a devious prep, but we'll see how it develops. But Jaden's development is extremely healthy. He gets the knights out. He controls the center. Seems to have the right idea. It must be said, thus far, all the guys that have jumped out the leads have held them and not forfeited any game. So we'll see if that trend continues with Jaden.
Yeah, shall we say he's really prioritizing the safety of his position?
I see what you did.
Yeah, it should be a pretty tight ending if CJ Hawkins manages to win this game on demand.
All right, so f4. This knight on e5 has to move. It went to c4. All right, we can work with that. Again, if you're trying to figure out who's better and why, and you don't want to look at the engine bar, you can always just ask yourself, who's closer to connecting their rooks? It's usually a fantastic indicator of who is better. And you look here, black is... Oh, I spoke a little bit too soon. But it's actually remarkable that black, even after that... after bishop takes c3 would be fun.
It feels like the knight has total immunity. Maybe he should play knight takes g2 and then knight takes f4 and just start picking off all White's pieces. It's like an invisible knight. Yeah, you're right. Even after bishop takes c3, I'd probably take black in a bullet game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, development kills. Development kills.
Yeah, but not recapturing pieces also kills, and this is not looking great for CJ. I mean, of course, a pawn is never a decisive, a decisive demarcation line at this level. It never decides games. But I love the way Jaden is playing. He can pick off a rook on G1, and he sees it.
All right, so let me just actually update folks. So we're gonna have James and David both advance to the champions semis as well. So those guys have moved on. Joshua Karty beat Ari Patu. We are just waiting on Jaden to see if he joins those three guys in the champion semis.
Yeah, we'll have 2 semifinal matchups, and then those will move on. The winners will move on to the finals, and it increasingly appears that Jaden is likely to win this game. I'm keeping an eye on his clock, but he is making super good moves. He can even drop his bishop back and win white's queen. I will be very impressed if he figures that out.
And look at David behind CJ here. I don't know. You gotta be careful. Make sure he plays on his own here. But the guys are right behind him.
Yeah, you definitely. Ooh, but it does look like he's playing on his own. And Jaden. Ooh.
Very impressive. And Jaden has the headphones in. He's got the beats in. He is focused and putting in work.
He just seems to be a lot more locked in than his opponent, and I think that's displaying on the board. I mean, I don't know how CJ avoids being distracted by like 7 people standing right behind him.
Trouble in paradise here. Ooh, 21, brilliant.
Oh, and rookie 2 coming in.
Jaden has definitely executed a ladder mate before, because now the only thing in these situations, Tanya, I'd say, is these knights cover a lot of ground, and sometimes people forget about capturing backwards. So this knight on D2, this knight on H3, they cover a lot of real estate around that white king, and that's the only question here.
I wonder if CJ thinks he's mated because he's only got 1 legal move and he's not making it.
I know what I mean.
I mean, or he's trying to figure out what he's going to do in the future. But you're right, Casa. Like, I could totally see this game going rookie 2, king f3, and then queen f2. That is 100% not unlikely.
And CJ said, I know what I'm in. So the guys behind him were saying, you're in check, bro. And he's like, I know I'm in.
Knight f. Oh my gosh, knight h4 mate. What a move. Knight h4 mate.
That's crazy. That's
knight h4 mate.
my teammate, big dog.
Will he see it?
Oh, it's game. Yeah,
he misses it.
Okay,
and he could have also taken the knight with check, but instead he gave the the other one.
Knight h4 would have been crazy. Crazy.
How did he miss that very simple mating construction?
I think he might be jumping into e3.
Yeah. Oh, now he plays it.
All right.
But don't play queen f3. I feel I've seen so many of these games where they get excited about a check. You called it. I would go rook e3. Okay, this is also fine, but he's treading water a little bit here.
A draw does clint, so he might just secure the repetition.
A 3-time repetition. Oh, white's playing for a win.
All right. What's going to happen next? So we have rook e3 in the cards here. What's the word?
I mean, if you make a queen move, it's very unlikely that you make a bad one, because you can take either knight. Rook e3 is excellent.
I know, but I'm not that good at it.
It's frustrating. There's no direct mate, Casa. He's just got to take the knight and chill.
Yeah, let's listen and know what they're talking about on their end here.
Okay. This should be the end. This should be the end.
All right, see what you got, Jake.
He's gonna go queen e1 and forget about knight f1.
Yeah, he's locked in now.
Yeah, but I think he might go queen e1 and forget about knight f1.
No. Wait.
Let's go.
Here.
No.
Take.
Yep.
If this doesn't work,
He thinks it's mate.
What? It's not working.
All right, he's tight now. But the game is still in his favor.
The clock is going to decide this game. They're completely oblivious to their clock. Completely oblivious.
Dude, how do you sell that, bro? How you gonna sack a queen, bro, for nothing?
Definitely miscalculated,
so-
and my computer's about to die.
All right, you might have to get a charger right now during the game. He said the computer's about to die.
Can someone help me with that real quick?
Oh, someone, they have a charger. They have a charger.
Please don't do it.
Okay, he's blundering more pawns.
Yeah.
Still in the driver's seat. Still in the driver's seat. Again, a draw clinches, Danya. A draw clinches.
Yeah, so he just got to go back to h4, and then white should go forward to g3. No, he's losing the thread.
Right,
White's
here the
playing
team-
Not
fast.
plugged in. Bucky, can you plug it in?
Karty.
All right, that bishop.
Oh, he blundered his rook.
No,
Oh, he didn't take it.
I know.
Trust me.
the swings.
Oh, he blundered it again.
The swings.
He blundered it again.
We're all over the place.
And he did take it this time.
Someone give this man a charger. Aiden
Is-
desperately needs a charger. His play has deteriorated since he got wind that his
Bucky, can you please
need a
plug
charger.
Oh man.
Yep. It's gotten in his head. But a4 allowing b takes a4. That would have promoted. He hasn't lost yet. I've seen crazier things happen. White can lose this game.
Alright, if my computer's finally charging.
And maybe also he's up on time. Jaden is up on time, and he has a dangerous
Oh,
pawn there.
a3.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh!
Oh, it's going to have
Deal with
queens.
my stuff right now.
f7.
Oh.
F7, don't move the knight. Don't move the knight.
They're telling what to do. Nah,
What a twist and turn here! What a turnaround!
Oh. Oh man. No. This is nasty. This is nasty.
Oh my god, black's going to win.
Oh my
I know.
god!
I tried to.
This might be the craziest turnaround I've ever seen.
All right, 11 seconds and counting for CJ.
Bro just says that's game, bro. That's great.
Take the knight.
Oh my god. This is a.
Oh, he's allowed promotion. Oh my god, white's going to make a queen. And white has a chance to checkmate black. Oh my god, it's mate.
6 seconds.
mate.
6 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, mate. No mate. There's no mate. There's no mate.
Oh, you got
Oh,
me.
He's got it.
Oh.
Wow!
Oh.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
Such a terrible game. That was such
What a
terrible
game.
That might be that. I've seen a couple of these in the Bullet Chess Championship, but this really takes it to a
I had
different
9
level.
blunders and 2 missed wins.
It must be said, Jaden, you know,
What the commentators are saying.
he
about
started
it.
out well. It was tough. He won anyway.
And he's a replacement. He was not supposed to play.
No, I'm not.
He is a replacement, and he has acquitted himself fantastically with a 3-1 victory to make his way into the semifinals, which means we have our results, folks. Let's take a look at our results. We've got the two favorites who won very convincingly. That would be Joshua Karty and David Casimir, 2.5-half and 0-3 respectively. And Jaden is the man of the hour, wouldn't you say?
Look, I think we were thoroughly entertained just now. That was one of the most fun games I've seen in a while, and I just think that the queens, the turnarounds, the king being vulnerable, you know, it really did all turn for Jaden when he found out his laptop needed battery, and I must say before that moment he really played really clean chess. So I actually rate him quite favorably in the next matchup.
Yeah, he's not going to be an easy opponent. He's super underrated, and that's kind of what we were talking about, right? You know, you just can't sleep on the ratings. But we're going to take a break. Before we do, we wanted to remind you that if you've been wanting to try out Chess.com premium features before committing to a membership, now is the time. In honor of International Chess Day, cash in on 30 days premium for free. Enjoy a full month of unlimited puzzles, lessons, game review, and more. This offer ends on July the 27th, so don't miss your chance. Use !claim, that's !claim in chat to unlock 30 days of premium now absolutely free. Make sure to cash in on International Chess Day offer. And folks, we hope you stick around because we've got more exciting BlitzChamps action ahead. We will have the semifinals for you with these hungry Stanford players trying to make their way into the final and steal the glory from their teammates. And we'll be back with more action in just a couple of short minutes. I will be right back.
This right here is how I use Chessable and why. I've been using it for a long time. I mean, if you look up here, I actually have my streak. It says 1,231 days, right? You're gonna forget a lot of the things that are in the book. Chessable came around. When I got on Chessable, it's literally, I was already doing that. So this is now a game changer because I can do it faster. It's online, it's in front of me. All of my books are here. There's gonna be folders now so I can categorize by white, black, and tactics in game. But I literally have everything in one area. As you see, I'm scrolling here. This is why I like this. So they're like, how many Chessable books you got? I'm like, all of them. How I use Chessable is actually, I do a lot for the opening training. I do tactics on here. I do calculation. I do in-game. I do everything but the database. All my training on here all the time. Chessable is the wave. This is why I like to use Chessable. It's actually helped me. I remember even online, I was only like capping out at 2350, almost 2400 in Blitz and Bullet. My Chess.com is 26 with a high of 2774 in Bullet. And I blame all of this, like success, really is just working on Chessable, just being honest with you.
Chess Kid is fun. Chess is great for the brain, but it's also fun to play. And Chess Kid makes it easy to have fun. Whether your child is a total beginner or a prodigy, they can hop on and find a well-matched opponent from around the world at any time. Chess Kid is the safe, parent-approved way for your child to play chess online. Chess Kid is educational. To kids, it feels just like playing, but chess is a great way to learn patience, strategy, and critical thinking. Chess Kid features a comprehensive training program that guides kids to level up on their way to mastery. There are more than 50,000 chess puzzles and a whole library of entertaining videos that teach strategies, tactics, openings, and endgames specifically for kids. Chess Kid is easy. Whether you're a parent helping your child, a coach managing dozens of kids, or a school of hundreds. Signing up is free and easy, so what are you waiting for?
Move over, Mittens. There's a new top dog in town. Benji the Bernadoodle might be an international master of fetch, but chess lessons with his dad, Gotham Chess, aren't really sticking. Host of his own public access TV show, Wishboy knows a thing or two about the most dramatic moment in chess history. A baller through and through, Buddy Buckets is moving his game from the basketball court to the chessboard. Watch out! Pinky practices chess from the inside of his mom's handbag on Woofstock's law campus. Don't judge a dog by its Diamante collar. Ponchik learned chess from his dad, GM Levon Aronian. He has never lost to another dog at chess and certainly won't lose to you. This July, the possumness is unleashed on Chess.com.
Welcome back to BlitzChamps Stanford Edition. We'll tell you why I'm laughing in just a second, but first, if you're just joining, I'm GM Daniel Naroditsky, commentating BlitzChamps Stanford alongside I am Kasemervisz. We're one round through, Kasa. If the next round is going to be anything like what we just saw, we are in for some very exciting action, and we can look at that crazy bracket. But I'm basically speechless already.
Yeah, I mean, we just had some really fun matchups just now, and Jaden advanced to the semifinals, and he's going to be up against David Kasemervisz. So I like Jaden. He played really, really good chess, but David is the favorite, so that'll be a very, very interesting matchup there.
It will indeed, and I mean, Jaden with a uphill climb. I hope he found his computer charger, because it will be hard to play his match with a black screen. And we've got Karty against Pogorelc, and James, we haven't looked at his match too much, but he scored a very convincing victory in his first round. So I am expecting a tightly contested match, maybe one that will go to overtime. And we also have a very special guest, Kasa, to watch the beginning of the second round alongside with us, and it's CEO Eric, who really, really took things to the next level. We will show you Eric in just a second, but this is the consolation bracket with Fisher against CJ and Ari against Zach Buckey. So we will briefly look at the consolation bracket games if they get interesting, but of course we will focus on the winner's bracket because that is where most of the action is at.
For sure, and I do want to give a shout out to Fisher Anderson, who did show some resourcefulness in the previous round. So he's not just any guy on the consolation bracket. I think I like what I saw there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We are just about ready to begin the games. And Kasa, I'm with you that the number 1 and number 2 seeds don't usually win anything in any sport. It just except Hikaru Nakamura probably. But I think today might be the exception because just the difference in strength is so vast between David, Joshua, and the rest that I think they've got a very, very good chance of winning their games. Now, Jaden, he's got a major uphill climb. I think the Karty Pogorelc match is going to be a little bit closer, but you just never know. You really never know.
Yeah, we didn't see enough of James's games in the previous round, but whenever we did see the final positions, there was checkmate on the board. So I do feel like he's pretty good. So we'll see how that develops. But if I had to put something on it, I'm not a betting man, I'll have you know. I would not bet for the Karty, the Joshua and David final. I'm gonna say that somehow the wires get crossed right.
Wow. Yeah, so we're going to have Jaden Slocum, who somehow got his match against CJ Hawkins on the strength of one last passed pawn that somehow advanced to a queen and delivered just enough checks to cause White's time to run out. And we have had a couple of games Casa decided on the clock, but really not as many as I thought. I honestly thought that we would have every second game decided on the clock, but the players have been fairly good about not falling into deep thinks, and we really haven't had all that many crazy time scrambles.
Yeah, no question about it. And it's funny because we even saw some effective pre-moving to stave off checkmate. So the time management has been pretty good, and we'll see if it's the same in the semis.
Indeed. Okay, so we are going to have the consolation bracket as well. James not only checkmated his opponent, Zach Buckey, who was at 800, so he was pretty high rated. Not only was there checkmate on the board, as you said, every game, but he was up about average seven pieces. The first game, he was up a queen, 2 rooks, 2 knights, a bishop, and a pawn. Do you think that's sufficient material? Why wasn't that declared a draw?
Yeah, that is a lot of material, a lot of points there. So, actually, I have a question for you, Danya, because I got this a little bit earlier. Would you have ever imagined that football players would be playing at in a chess tournament on Chess TV at Stanford? Would you have imagined that?
No. Honestly, I was thinking about this during the break, how there was a phase maybe 5 years ago where it was fashionable for celebrities and athletes to pose with a chessboard. But now there's actual interest in chess. This isn't for show. These players are actually super, super into it. You know, they're doing this because they want to. Joshua literally is organizing this. It's nothing's being forced on them. So it's truly incredible to see organic interest rather than chess being used as kind of a status symbol, and how it's permeated its way to the point where I think it's almost more common for top sports people to play chess than it is for them not to play. So really it is amazing to see that progression. I wish I was still at Stanford. I mean, I'm happy with where I am, I had a great time, but it really is the heyday of chess across the board. And much of that is due to one particular Stanford alum named Eric. And Eric will join us for a little session before the games begin. Eric, welcome to the show. I think that's Eric. That's what I've been told.
Very well done. This is so this is the Cardinal, huh? This is what we've come here to see.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like couldn't really have this be a Stanford football event without the tree showing up. And anyway, I don't know. About 30 minutes ago, I decided to make this, and I found some funny things around the house. So.
Well,
wow. How long did this take to make, by the way? Sorry, Casa, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, you win. I guess you win Halloween every year, huh?
I actually do enjoy, but I had these googly eyes in the closet from another thing, and then the rest is just construction paper and a brown towel, and a couple of safety pins. Anyway, I'm excited. I've been watching the match.
Arts and crafts projects. Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to your commentary. I've been watching the games. Tons of back and forth. Super exciting. It's been really fun to watch, and I'm eager to see how this plays out.
Do you see this competitiveness of the guys? Because I feel like when you see a lot of football players and a lot of athletes, D1 athletes, they're competitive on and off the field, and I think it's awesome to just have another domain where people are getting at it. So do you see that right now?
I do, and I'm super excited to see it, across professional sports and, even here. And what I think is cool is that, I know that it's hard sometimes for the ego and how good they are in their sport and their thing to kind of put that aside and say, I'm going to compete in chess. Right. I'm going to do my best. I want to win, but also all right, I'm not a grandmaster, and that's okay. I'm giving it my best. So I love the lack of ego, but also mixed with the strong drive that you're saying.
No question about it. I think the games have begun, Danya. So, are we gonna shift over there, and while also potentially keeping the Cardinal with us?
Yeah, we shall. We have Joshua Karty against James Pogorelc on the screen in front of us. It's a fried liver with an extra pawn. Now, Eric, I'm not sure what the extent of your theoretical knowledge is in this opening, but I'm out of my preparation. I don't know if Joshua Karty is out of his. Maybe this is the Stanford gambit.
For me, if a pawn isn't on G6 or G3, I'm literally lost. So no idea what to do here. No.
The thing that was super impressive to me. Oh, you're playing exclusively fianchettos, Eric. Exclusively G3s and Bishop G2s.
Basically. So.
Gotcha. No, I think it's actually quite impressive to me how Jaden handled the early phase of this game, because, again, most people might see that fried liver position and just succumb to the pressure on F7, and Jaden didn't do that. So even though White does have a serious edge here, I think Black has some chances with the bishops. But hold on, he had Queen takes F2 on the mind, and will David care about that? That's the question.
It is not checkmate.
No, he will not.
I hate to tell him.
Nope. Yeah, I've had that before where I've actually seen games where a player makes a move and says checkmate and then realizes the king is a square, or even worse, the square on which you thought you were delivering checkmate is actually defended. I think James is going through that realization right now. After king d1, it's not like it's a double-edged position. Black has no attack here, and White's knight could even come to e4 and shoo this queen out of f2, after which White should be able to consolidate his extra piece. Although that process of consolidation, things tend to go a little bit haywire during that process, don't they?
Yeah, I think Jaden is now realizing what has happened, and he's shaking his head a little bit. But the game's not over yet, so there might be some time to recover. But David's definitely in the driver's seat here.
Eric, we know you're a busy man, so we don't want to keep you too long. But I did want to ask you. I wanted to put you on the spot. Do you have a good PG-13 story from your Stanford days?
How about a G?
Or PG?
It's rated PG-13 for embarrassment.
G's even better.
Which is when which I got to Stanford and I was like, I'm so excited about chess, and I've always been into it, and I was at the business school, and you got your which is smaller than the undergrad, and so I sent out an email. I was like, hey, we're all new. I'm so excited. I'd love to meet and like start a chess club. And, I brought some chess sets with me, and I sent out an email and said like, let's meet in the cafeteria, Tuesday at this time. And then on Tuesday I went, and I was the only person there. And so that was the end of my chess time there. Actually, one other quick story on that. There was one other guy in the class who said he was into chess, and he was Russian, and he's like, I'm big into chess. I love it. And I'm like, awesome. Let's do a match. Like, let's do an exhibition match. We'll put out like a table. We'll put an American flag, a Russian flag. Like, we'll make it like funny and interesting. And then he never accepted the challenge, but he was definitely better than me, but he never accepted the challenge, but he was definitely better than me.
So how cool is it, Eric, to essentially come full circle? You were basically trying to set up chessboards in the cafeteria at Stanford to now having football players play against each other and representing your school.
I mean, it's an absolute mind trip. Like Danya was saying, like, I wish I was there during the time when chess, like now when chess is cool and everyone's playing and doing that. But like, honestly, I'm just really, really happy to see the growth of the game. I never gave up on my vision of it. My classmates were out taking jobs at, a million different places. I turned down job offers at Facebook and all these other places. And I'm like, I'm going to do this crazy chess thing. And, all the venture capitalists in the area were like, you're insane. And then like, well, look at us now, right? Like chess has changed. And anyway, I'm just stoked to see where we've gotten. It's been a huge turnaround, kind of like this position is hopeful for, but isn't going to be.
That is a fantastic segue, Danya.
It is indeed. And we have Joshua Karty winning a piece. Eric, you're welcome to stay on with us, but we also want to respect your time. So that was a great story. Hopefully that Russian player reemerges at some point. Maybe after hearing that story. Maybe he's watching the stream. You never know these days.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. It's an absolute joy. Thanks for the great commentary. And good luck to all the players.
For sure.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
Cardinal out.
Yeah, exactly. Cardinal out, and James Pogorelc might be out too because he is down a full bishop. This has been a very high-level game, by the way, and that was CEO Eric, Stanford grad, and chess businessman extraordinaire, and cardinal extraordinaire. He just got up to remove that costume from his face. I think that must have been hard to wear.
Yeah, that was remarkably well done, and it must be said, if he put that together in 30 minutes, that's extremely impressive. Now, back to this game, I do not count Jaden out of it. He's been resourceful all event, and White doesn't have a ton of pawns, so it's really about nursing this d-pawn to home, and we'll see if David's able to do that.
I actually came up with a funny story as Eric was telling his. I remember as a junior, I was commentating the Magnus. It was Magnus Caruana, Magnus Caruana World Championship match, and I was doing live stream commentary from campus, from like a room, and I overslept the start of one of the rounds, and it was like a freezing. It was one of those days where like all you can think about is how much you want to stay in bed. So I wake up. It's like 5 minutes before the start of the game. So at that point, I had a car on campus, so I jump in. I'm like running all the stop signs on campus, which is dangerous because there's a lot of pedestrians. And I get pulled over for running a stop sign. And the cop asks, like, do you realize what you're doing? I'm like, yes, but there's a world championship game that I need to be commentating and I can't miss the start of it. And he's like, oh, chess. Wow, I love chess. And I was like, yeah, you should watch. This is the Twitch channel, and it's starting in like 3 minutes and I really need to get there. And he's like, all right, you're excused. So, chess has gotten me out of a couple situations.
So it's been a very credible thing to mention along the way as you've needed to get out of things here and there.
That's right.
But okay, back to these games. We're getting some wild games right now. Josh Karty is trying to finish this off, but this is a very, very tricky ending to convert, I would say.
Oh,
not a ton of time.
very good player. Very good mate on h6. Black has to play rook f4 check. Only move to avoid getting checkmated.
We'll see. We'll see if this happens right now.
He has to find it, and he does.
He finds it.
James. Look at James. This could go either way, Casa. This could be a win for Black on the clock.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I've been very impressed with James and Jaden. I do feel, again, it's not going to be the Joshua David show, but we'll find out in basically less than a minute now. So King G4 moving out of the way of that check on H6, but the pawn is still hanging. And all right, this is going to be Flag City in a moment.
Yeah, Flag Angeles, California. Palo Flago. And who is going to flag who? I mean, Joshua is the slower player, but he's also up a bishop. But look at James. I mean, he's literally playing this perfectly. He's got to freaking move. You have to. He's just sitting there. He's frozen.
Yeah, Joshua, I don't think he realizes that the clock is not his friend right now. Oh, he's trying to simplify and trade.
Crap.
Well, the rooks don't run. Go the other way.
Don't repeat. No! He repeated.
Oh, if he went the other way, it probably would have been a dirty flag. But hey, I guess there's some honor amongst the Cardinal, huh? So that is that. All right, so how are we doing with David and Jaden? So David did take the first one, and it does look like he's in position to take the second. That king is Ari.
Jaden is lacking a couple pieces here. That's really what it boils down to. Let's go to that game, watch its conclusion. David playing fast, playing confidently, and taking all of White's pawns. But you know what that means, Casa? That means that there is a non-zero possibility of a stalemate.
Yeah, hey, you gotta love the stalemate chances, but we'll see. Definitely needs to shed that G pawn though. Maybe he'll throw in a G6 check. That will get him much closer to potential stalemate.
I would play King H5 here, then try to go G6. So one way that this could end in stalemate is if after King H5, Queen F4, which is happening, White plays G6, Black says, oh, let me recover the pawn for the knight, and after King takes H7, the White King is, oh, never mind, it's mate.
Oh, whatever. I forgot the rest of that opening because
David was sitting back too.
You can see the reactions. That's 2-0, folks.
Hey, do you remember how? You did Pogo? You remember how he did a queen sacrifice for mate and didn't get it?
Oh, sorry.
That's what I did.
I pulled up the other game, by the way, between James and Joshua when we could take a look at the bird's eye view, because I feel like the Jaden match is pretty much in the bag, Casa. I don't think it's too early to say that.
Yeah, I don't want to count the chickens too soon. White is doing some stuff here.
Oh, didn't work. Whoa, knight H3, knight G5. He wants another mate threat. But Jaden's got to see that one. I'll let you know if he does. I flipped over to the more high-level matchup between James and Joshua, which is another, game that I could mistake from, like a Nepo Ding match. This is just a very balanced endgame.
Yeah, wait, we'll have H4 next, and then it'll definitely be Nepo Ding.
yeah, H3. yeah.
But yeah, no, it's very competitive here. James was definitely the one that could have taken the last game, so I like the way his chess is going. Although the E4 pawn is loose, will Joshua chase after it with knight takes E4 here? That's a question.
Yep, I think he should grab that, and he does. And now James can take the knight and then restore material equality with bishop takes b6. It's a pretty balanced endgame, Casa. The time situation also balanced. You just get the sense that each of these games is really going to go down to potentially time scrambles.
I'm also really surprised at the amount of pre-moves I'm seeing. You're seeing a lot of pre-moves, and it just feels like folks are anticipating captures whenever they happen.
Yeah, for sure. And important to assess the point of your opponent's previous move, which Joshua does. He drops the bishop back to f5, and James focusing on queenside expansion, but missing the opportunity to restore the material equality there. And you see, I think, James recognizing that.
Yeah. So this knight's probably going to jump into d4 next from f3. Oh, Joshua says, no, thank you. We're going to pin you first and see how you contend with that. But Joshua's starting to stabilize just a little bit. starting to stabilize for sure. Black's king gets castled. You're definitely going to want to prefer black in this position.
Especially after black takes on f3 and tucks his king away. I mean, as one wise man said, the side who's better is the one who is closer to connecting the rooks. But here, both sides of rooks will be connected, and they are after castle's kingside. Super impressed with the way that Joshua is handling this endgame. Honestly, he has made zero mistakes thus far, and he could even play a5 and start to chip away at white's queenside pawn chain or bishop f6.
Very savvy, just keeping everything nice and covered before any other aggressive intentions. I should also point out that Jaden's king is going on a little walk right now, and David is trying to finish this off. So not quite the tour de force type Sherman's March style king walk we'd like to see. It's more of a tuck the tail between the legs king walk, but David still has to execute a checkmate. So we'll let you know if
At
that
some
happens.
point in the series, Pogo, someone needs to get a brilliant.
Yeah, and that will be the match. That will mean that David Casimir is in the final. Oh, and will he be joined by Joshua Karty, who is about to win the exchange and possibly the game?
Yeah, knight takes f3 was tough. Joshua was very surprised by James' decision there. He said he definitely was like, "What was that?" So he knows now. He got away with one.
And he is just continuing to demonstrate filigree precision. You could go rook ac8 here. You could go rook d3 and hunt for white's a3 pawn either way. Basically, the only way that black messes this up is he blunders a rook or he gets too low on time, and it doesn't seem like either of those things is likely in the least. Rook b3 would win another pawn. Ugh.
It's tough. It's tough sledding right now. But respect to James for fighting, and honestly, he could have traded the rooks really quickly when they were challenged on the d file, and he didn't. So he understands I'm down material. I need to trade. I need to avoid trades. So it makes sense.
Rook a4 going after more pawns is Joshua Karty, but James is not. He's not giving up easy, and I'm also looking at the fact that the bishop on b1 is controlling the king's escape score, and I've seen more than one back rank mate miss in this manner.
Yeah, I mean, we've all set this up at different points of our lives, and I'm sure you might have even set something up in Bullet not too long ago. So these mating patterns come up a lot.
Good play though. Oh, there we go. Oh, what a dirty move. Oh my gosh.
Wait, hold on. You hear Josh? Josh says,
"Excuse me." You didn't say that.
Oh no, that was my one chance. That was my one
Yeah,
chance.
he saw it. He tipped him off, I guess.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, he should have been more. He should have been more stoic.
I set it up for so long.
Yeah, but he's got to figure out a way out of it.
And that's really cool because he basically did set this up. He put the bishop on b1, they make this happen.
I would even play bishop e4 if that didn't blunder a bishop. I feel like he is going to play that. I'm just getting. Yep. Blundering the bishop. And this one you can take.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought I messed up that time.
The other time?
Yeah, now it's over.
I messed up.
Just push the queenside pawns here is the easiest way. You can even give up the rook for the bishop.
Good. This is not looking good.
So, just to update here, David, we should actually take a look at that checkmate briefly. Checkmate the king in the middle of the board and secures his place in the final. So, David Kasemervisz secures his place in the final as a very, very aesthetically pleasing checkmate. Perhaps we can show that to you folks after this one concludes.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go back to the bird's eye view. But here we were watching Joshua finish off an excellently played game. He definitely is the stronger player by a little bit, but I'm not getting the sense that it's a put. I mean, I'm getting zero sense that it's a pushover match. This one, though, is coming to an abrupt conclusion, and James jettisoning the rest of his pieces, trying to go for a stalemate. Very resourceful. Like, he is exhausting all of the resources in his position.
And pre-moving, too. So it's you love to see it, although we're going to have a real nice ladder mate here in a second.
Ooh, with three. Oh, making a rook.
Dirty. Look at the trifecta of rooks.
Very dirty.
The holy trinity of rook.
So David Kasemervisz has secured a spot in the final where he will play the winner of the James Pogorelc Joshua Karty match. And if Joshua Karty wins the next game, he advances to the final to challenge the second seed.
That's fake if I've played against you too many times.
Okay, here we go.
All right. And then win is black. This is going to be tough.
G3, ooh.
All right, we're gonna see if James is able to win on demand, essentially, because he's down 1.5-half.
But
And a reverse King's Indian by Joshua Karty. Let's see what his preparation was like. I like to play this with white, especially against 1e4 players, because they're unfamiliar with essentially how to play with such a big center.
Yeah, it's funny though. We did hear them say that they've actually played a bunch before this event, so they're actually kind of familiar with one another, and that makes this even more intriguing.
Maybe Joshua choosing a line he doesn't normally play to really throw black off, and he's going for the double fianchetto here. Not usually very advisable, precisely because of e4, but by putting the bishop on f5. Black has given white the chance to move the knight to the side of the board and hit the bishop and potentially win that e4 pawn.
Yeah, no question. That center can be undermined pretty quickly. Unfortunately, knight h4 was not played, although white still has a very tenable position. Although if I was black, I would consider throwing in e3 at the right moment here. Block out those, undermine those with that white pawn chain.
Looks like Joshua is going to snap off that e4 pawn with tempo, attacking the queen. And if I were James, I would shift the queen into the center, queen e5. I would not take on e4, although I'm afraid that he is going to take and deliver a check on c3. You often see newer players really fall for these kinds of checks. Oh, but that is a snappy little move, because there's no good discovered check. Knight d6, you take it. Knight f6, you take it. Joshua might have to bring his own queen up, but that's a pretty advanced move.
Yeah, and we can also maybe see rook d8 follow that queen d3 move, upping the ante even more, because the queen would be harassed. So, tricky position.
And Joshua doing the right thing, taking his time. You could also play f3, but that is kind of weakening. But it is the safer choice.
Yeah, so... Yeah, no, if the white queen comes to d3, if James has recognized that there's no dangerous discoveries, and I think he has, he might very well follow up with rook d8, and you could easily see Josh punting on that knight a little prematurely to go after the bishop on f5. So a lot to figure out here, but
I don't like that Joshua is frozen. He's now taken over. I mean, he should. If you think about this logically, I feel like he's getting distracted by the potential for a discovery. So maybe he's burning clock trying to figure, okay, what if I go knight t6? What if I go knight takes c5? But all of those moves fail, and he does end up playing f3. Yeah, the eval bar drops a little bit, but at least he avoids losing any minor pieces. So I don't think this is a bad thing for Joshua Karty fans.
Yeah, excellent move by rook d8, though. Hitting that queen, pushing it to c1, and there are a lot of dark square weaknesses in white's position. I like to call that Swiss cheese. You could just see c3, d2, e3, f2, a lot of dark squared weaknesses that James may take advantage of with a well-timed c4.
Yeah, and bishop e7 is a very good, patient move, developing his bishop. He's got that extra minute on his clock, and Joshua is burning time, figuring out a way to coordinate his pieces. I would bring my queen up to e3 and contest the d-file with rook a to d1. James might also fail to resist the temptation to take on e4, and Casa, one way I could see this going bad for black is bishop e4, fe4, and bishop f6 would walk into e5, discovering an attack against the queen and bishop.
Yeah, no, that is definitely potential. Wow, James is deciding to really go for it and choose another direction entirely, and I think Joshua now is going to crawl out alive, because the bishop on f5 is loose. It would have probably been a little bit savvier to just castle, but James is in a situation where he feels it's a must-win. It's technically not. He could draw the game and still play another, but it does feel like a must-win situation, and h5 is a must-win type of move.
And I would play h4 with white. Just slow down black's attack. Don't give black easy moves. But Joshua is really bogging down and trying to figure out the most precise way to play. You could also go rook a d1. He plays the move c4, so he contests and controls a couple of key squares in the center. We're likely going to see James continue to attack and nibble away at... No, he nibbles away at the queen side. I don't love b5, though. Seems very weakening.
I see he probably is looking at that e2 pawn, thinking about grabbing that one. Of course, you still have to be a little bit wary of your king being on e8, but
yeah,
I think
queen
the
b8
queen
mate.
is looking at stuff.
But don't take the rook first and then take the pawn, because queen b8 is forced mate.
I see.
And I think he just saw it. Yeah, castles.
Savvy. Recognizing, it's one of the hardest things in chess to recognize that you maybe have done something wrong and then adjusting course and not being too prideful to do it. And he did adjust course.
Yeah, but no,
James is playing really well in this must-win game. Now, even though the pawn has moved away from e2, you could still infiltrate with the queen, creating threats against the rook and the a2 pawn. So what I really like about Black's position is the placement of his bishops and how they control a lot of squares and make it difficult for White to just sort of tread water even.
And I have to point out, too, that James is explaining his decision-making to a teammate off camera right now. So he's playing good moves and explaining them. So he's doing two things at once that are very difficult to do.
Maybe he should stream. He's got the bones for it.
Queen a6, very subtle move, looking at that a2 pawn, also potentially keeping an eye on the king side still. All to play for.
Oh, queen takes h5. That is not a direction I thought he would go in. The engine calls this a mistake. I think he might be falling in love with the sweet nectar of a mate threat, but knight g5 can be easily picked off by Black's bishop, so James should just continue chomping away at the queen side.
Yeah, no. And queen takes b3, also hits e3. Black might be playing a little bit of Pac-Man here.
But James is taking too long in this move. He's down to a minute. There's obviously still plenty of chess to be played. I don't see the resolution coming anytime soon.
Right, right.
He goes g6. Oh, it's a weakening move.
Understandable, though. Just trying to kick that queen off of the h-file, and we'll see if Joshua's persistent here and decides to go queen h6. He is. He's insisting on it. Totally insisting.
And now you have to be ultra careful about knight jumping into f6 with mate, so the bishop has to remain pinned in place on e7 to protect that square. But the rook's hanging. And
all right, so rook takes d8, rook takes d8. Although this knight on e4 cannot go to g5, queen takes c3 would pick up the knight. So still holding on just fine, and those bishops are covering a lot of terrain. So James is in control, and he just needs to get it back a little bit on the clock, so he's not in a position where he's having to pre-move his way to victory, but he's definitely in the driver's seat here.
And bishop h3, a very kind of an interesting move, but he gives up e3. It's not the end of the world for White. Can James continue to keep his foot on the gas pedal with 44 seconds left? The move f5 here is ultra strong because the knight just doesn't have any good escape squares. Oh, rook d1, what a move. If he plays that move, he'll be commentating the finals instead of me, but he finds a third good move just pushing that pawn.
Yeah. White's kingdom is narrowing. So right now, Black's able to make a few more consolidating moves, put some pressure on that king. James will win this game, and we'll be tied 1.5. Again, if Karty wins, he will be going up against David Kasemervisz, and it'll be a classic wide receiver versus kicker matchup. You don't see that every day.
Love what Joshua Karty is doing here. He is just bleeding Black's clock down and saying, listen, you don't have any clear way to make progress. 20 seconds now for James Pogorelc, and he's not moving. He protects the pawn with his bishop. Karty could throw in a check with knight f6, knight g4. You just got to keep making threats and keep bleeding Black's clock down to 0. Obviously, don't move your rook and blunder f3 with check.
Did I have a winning move here?
And he does just that.
It's about 5 minutes, probably.
All right, 17 seconds here for James. 17 seconds to make it happen.
Rook d2. You can take that rook. What a move.
You've
got to take that rook.
This is awesome. This is so awesome.
And look at Karty's clock now. He's disoriented. He's burning his own clock down. He's down to 24.
24, 23, 22, 21.
Oh, he didn't take it. Oh, he blundered his queen.
No.
Oh, but it's not over. And Karty missed it.
Queen
Queen f6. Knight f6. It's a check. He can win the queen again. Oh.
Just free move. There's still time. Free move, James.
And Karty's not seeing anything. Now he takes the queen. 4 seconds left for James. He's not going to make it.
He's resigned. He's resigned to the reality of
but Karty,
material.
You can still do this, but he's going to flag. Karty has just enough time here. Or does he? Yes, he does.
Oh.
That's so many blunders, dude.
Wow.
No way.
Wow. If James just adjusted to the new terms and conditions of the position, he could have won that on time.
Dude, that was the way that he massaged his initiative there. It was super impressive. He just didn't have quite enough time. Even Rook D2 was a super impressive move, but in the final seconds, he lost his composure. Joshua Karty is into the finals, where he will face. Where he will face.
Oh, no.
Where he will face David Kasemervisz.
And we have Ari Patu and Zach Buckley in a playoff right now. We've had no playoffs thus far in the consolation or the winners bracket. And right now we do. So maybe we should actually check that out because there are 2-2 basically in the tiebreak right now.
Yep, we have a crazy match there. It is 2-2. They're playing a 3+0 game. And looks like Black is losing a couple of pieces there. Black is down 2 pieces right now. And
yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
I was going to just say, yeah, it does seem like White is up. Zach is up a lot of material, but right now, anything can happen. I mean, right now they're playing 3 minutes, I think, for the tiebreak instead of 5. So very, very different story than before.
Indeed. And we see 2 minor pieces up. But with that 3-minute time control, obviously, the time becomes even more important. Looks like the players are managing it pretty well, though. And I like the way Zach is playing, just developing his bishop, crossing his T's and dotting his I's.
Yeah, nice quality control happening right here, and just excellent quality control. No bells and whistles here. Just nice, calm, cool, collected moves. But yeah, it seems like Zach is in control. And Ari did say he likes the queen. It's his favorite piece, and there are no queens on the board. So when there aren't queens on the board, we've seen Ari a little frustrated and trying to come up with new plans.
Indeed. And Zach continuing to play well. Rook C1, protecting his bishop, setting up a discovered attack against the Black King, which moves away. So Ari kind of staying on his heels here.
Yeah, I'd love to see Zach castle, get those rooks connected again. You could also, it is an endgame. The king could step up to the center with king e2. That's a bit savvier, but just getting that king safe, making escape square so there's no back ranks, and you're well on your way.
Indeed.
So.
And e5 by Black, attacking the bishop. The bishop moves away. Should be a win here for Zach if he can just respond to all of the threats. Oh, and that's a free rook. Yeah, and Ari's chance is really on the decline now.
Yeah, it's clock has struck midnight here. And this night is hot. These nights honestly are just so tenacious, so difficult to navigate. Especially with limited time. You see it time and time again. And is there going to be another fork? Not quite.
He had it.
93 is right there.
Yeah, 93 would pick off the last remaining piece here. Once again, we're in that territory where the only thing that could go wrong, I think, is stalemate. But Zach, okay, he gave a check on e7. He's going to c8. Ari's starting to accelerate his pace of play, but very simple technique to win the game. Just push your pawns. Just push your pass pawns.
Right down the yellow brick road, b5, b6, b7. Although, I think Zach was a little materialistic there, didn't want to lose the knight. And you see that a lot too, like just trying to not give up anything when you have the whole house. It's okay. You're allowed to give up some material or ignore some stuff when you have more than you need. So definitely trying to keep everything together. And it's going to allow Ari to hang around just a little longer than he probably should. But this pawn is about to queen.
And it will queen. And he could even move the knight away first. But Who needs the knight when you have a queen? It is checkmate in 2, which was missed. Queen b5 and rook b4. You can also just pick up the rook, but I like the way he's playing. He's just involving all of his pieces. And he might have identified just a mating pattern, and he might be just going for it. Rook g5, okay.
I think ladders are the way to go in these situations for a lot of these guys. So I think we're going to see something similar. Although I hope he doesn't take the last pawn, that last e pawn. That'll trouble the conversion slightly.
He's not converting this in a very convincing manner. I would just pick up the last of. Okay, rook h8 is also good. Rook c8.
Rook c8.
Rook. Okay.
More checks. Also, the time is becoming a factor here. Ari's down to 15 seconds, so that might also.
Careful! Don't repeat moves. I mean, he's giving these queen checks rather than using his rooks and checking from behind. Okay.
All right, under 10 seconds for Ari right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have any moves. Rook d8. I feel like Zach is going to give queen c3 check. Queen e3 check. Damn.
Okay.
Queen d... Oh!
Don't repeat. Don't repeat.
Rook d8 mate. Okay, goes rook h5, and now he's going to win on time on the next move. There we go. Not the smoothest conversion, but he got it done.
Hey, whatever gets the job done, Zach takes it, yeah, we're gonna have some finals on our hands.
We will indeed. And before we go to the finals, there was a beautiful checkmate in. There was
David.
a beautiful. Yeah, in Kasemervisz's game.
Mm-hmm.
But here we have the scores. And we've got David Kasemervisz with a very convincing victory over Jaden, who was a replacement and who has acquitted himself valiantly. We have Joshua Karty, the other pre-tournament favorite, with a very difficult match, Kasa. It's important not to pay too much stock into the score. That match could have gone either way, really.
Yeah, no question about it. I was definitely wrong. I thought that I was kind of rooting for James or Jaden to upset the apple cart slightly, but we are going to have our number 1 and number 2 seeds in the champion final.
We will indeed, and we will bring you those finals after a break. But before we go on break, we wanted to make another reminder that the Chess.com College Ambassador Program is back. If you want to help grow chess on college campuses, join the team and receive support from Chess.com in the form of diamond memberships, Chess.com merch, learning opportunities, and more. Ambassadors are also eligible for unique perks for improving their chess, career development, and meeting chess celebrities. For all the details, use !CAP in the chat. And on that note, folks, we will let the players get set for the finals of BlitzChamps Stanford Edition. Kasa and I will be back with the finals between Karty and Kasemervisz on the other side of this short break.
Chess.com's game review recently got a major update. Here are 4 key notes. At the end of each game review, you will now see a summary of the game from your coach, your performance rating for that game, and a quick grade for you and your opponent in the opening, middle game, and end game. We've added a new classification called miss for when a move fails to take advantage of an opportunity, but it is otherwise a sound move. We've also changed the definition of blunder. Now a move will only be considered a blunder if it loses material or allows a checkmate. Coach will now draw arrows and highlight squares when you hover over or click on the highlighted words in the move explanation. This should make move explanations easier to follow. Finally, Coach's explanations will now reference specific pieces and threats in explanations, making move explanations much more intuitive. The new game review experience is available on Chess.com right now.
My name is Ethan Curry. We all have nicknames. Chicago is naturally where I'm born and raised, so that's how I got the name. I guess they call me the muscle. I'm the one with the passion. I'm always looking for a good fight, Evidently, it don't make a difference, man. That's checkmate coming up. It don't matter. What we're trying to do is to let them know, hey, we playing down here in Houston, Texas. And if you come down here half-stepping, trust me, we're gonna beat you. You better bring your game.
Have a friend or family member who loves chess? Gift them a Chess.com membership today and see them take their game to the next level. You can choose a gold, platinum, or diamond membership for 1 month or 1 year. Want your gift to arrive on your friend's birthday or on a holiday? Gifts can be scheduled to arrive up to 90 days in the future. All premium plans include an ad-free experience, unlimited puzzles and lessons, and unlock all bots. Go platinum to add unlimited game review or diamond to unlock insights and coach explanations. Give the gift of chess today. On the gridiron, success is measured in a 60-minute gauntlet of athletic resilience and mental fortitude. The ability to outplay and outthink one's opponent is the difference between that sweet victory and crushing defeat. And on these 64 squares, much is the same. It's a battle of will, grit, and determination, minus the bone-crushing hits, of course. But what happens when the two cross paths? This.
Oh my goodness.
BlitzChamps is back, but this time the spotlight shines on Stanford University as their squad turn their attention from the field to the chessboard.
Oh, was sneaky, man.
Instead of end zone, it's end game. Instead of quarterback sacks, it's queen sacks. Instead of check downs, it's checkmates. All the metaphors you can handle.
Damn.
With some serious bragging rights among teammates on the line, the locker room trash talk just might be a little elevated this season. So, put the cleats and pads away and get ready to lead your 16 chessmen to glory. This is BlitzChamps Stanford, and it starts now.
Daniel?
California, beautiful city, so scenic, and that's the Hoover Tower there. And Stanford University with its iconic red roofs. It's been standing for well over 100 years. And who will be standing as the BlitzChamps champion here in this fascinating event? International Master Kasemervisz. We've had all the action we could ask for, and the best is yet to come.
Yeah, we are down to our champions final between David Kasemervisz and Joshua Karty. That is a kicker wide receiver matchup. That is our number one, number two favorites from the beginning. It is all down to this.
It is indeed. Let's look at our brackets. Now let's not look at our brackets. Let's look at them. We have David Kasemervisz and Joshua Karty in the finals there on the right side of your screen. They are the two highest rated players, and it's been anything but smooth for Joshua Karty, who had to suffer through a difficult match against James Pogorelc. That could have gone either way. For David, it was smoother sailing. I think his tough match, Casa, was in the first round against Fisher Anderson, who gave him a stellar fight. And a big shout out to the players who didn't make it into the finals. Jaden, who was a replacement, he wins his first round, and he will face James Pogorelc in the third place match.
Yeah, it's almost not surprising that Fisher Anderson was the player to give David the most problems, but now it's all come down to this, and really, I think Joshua has been, kind of enjoying himself. He had the Karty line where he pushed all his pawns to the third rank in one game. I think he's going to take this last one extremely seriously, and I'm not sure who's going to take it.
I honestly think it's a complete and total toss-up. And in terms of pure quality of play, I think we're going to have to give the edge to David. But again, with full due respect to Jaden, David's competition was nowhere near what Joshua Karty's was. And this is the first time David is facing someone who doesn't make consistent blunders, has good opening understanding, and pretty decent time management, although Joshua did struggle with that a little bit. So if David can put the heat on his clock, I think that gives David slightly better chances as we look at Joshua Karty there, the kicker for the Stanford Cardinal on the camera. And there's David.
Yeah, and now there's David here. Yeah, David looks very comfortable. Sun's out, guns out, and very much enjoying himself. Yeah, I think these guys, they're sitting right next to each other. You can see the thumbs up just came to the screen there. So they're in very close proximity. I wonder how that will go when the game actually begins.
I do as well, and the games will begin momentarily. Before they do, just a quick shout out that we do have a consolation bracket, so everybody gets a chance to play. In that bracket, it'll be Zach Buckey against Fisher Anderson, and the third place match will be CJ Hawkins against Ari Patu. So we'll update you on the results of those matches, but obviously our singular focus will be on the finals match between David Kasemervisz and Josh Karty. And as the players are in good spirits, they're sitting next to each other, but as we like to say, there are no friends on the chessboard. So this is going to be exciting. Really high-quality chess, I think, is about to be played.
Yeah, and I think David is going to start out with the white piece in the first game. I don't recall what he was trotting out, but I do remember Joshua was an E4 guy. So I'm definitely looking to see how he's going to sort of prosecute his positions with the white pieces. So we'll see how it goes.
Indeed we will. And just awaiting the start of the games, which should begin any moment now, but really not seeing any nerves. I think that's the good thing. The players are in very good spirits. It's not really all about high-pressure tournaments. We get enough of those at a high level. I think at this level, it's very important that the players have a good time and use this as kind of a bonding activity too, because they are ultimately teammates. They will ultimately have to play on the same football field. So great to see that when all is said and done, they're in good spirits and they're happy for each other. And the finals have kicked off.
All right, here we go. All right, so
Jababa
David,
London, wow.
Yeah, that is these guys are serious. So very interesting rich position here. No engagement. H4. Wow. Very aggressive from David. Basically playing on both sides of the board. Very, very, very aggressive.
H4 is a pretty typical idea in these positions, and I really like the way that he's prosecuting the opening phase of the game. I love that phrase, by the way. Knight G3. Okay, yeah, you have to watch out for G5, but that's part of the appeal of putting the pawn on H4. And we see a little bit of talking there between the players.
Yeah, it's really a question of how comfortable Black is going to be ever castling, given that H4 has been played, given that there are two bishops pointing towards the king side. Although this knight maneuver by Joshua, putting it on G6, is partially designed to challenge that bishop, and he does have an opportunity to play knight takes E5 here, which I believe would be the correct decision. Take the bishop on E5, redeploy your knight on F6, and keep it moving from there.
I do really like bishop E5. I think it shows a good understanding of trades because, yeah, it's true that Black gets the bishop pair, but White recaptures with the pawn, and the more threats that you can create in general, the better. Okay, castle's kingside by David, and we've got some tension on the queen side as well.
Okay.
What is happening here?
Yeah, so I do like White's rooks are connected first. I like that. I do think White is going to be able to generate pressure either side of the board, right? There's knight a4 ideas potentially, getting at that bishop on b6. There are ideas of pressuring the king side at h5 or bishop takes g6. All right, there is a trade here on c7. Again, very quick exchanges. These are pre-move exchanges, Danya. So these guys don't mess around.
No, not at all. And there was a pawn on h4 that was capturable. It's not the end of the world if White loses that pawn. Love the way that David is opening up the center because Black's king is still in the center. And we've already established that, you know, Black won't castle kingside without a second thought because there's possibilities of bishop takes knight and there's the threat of h5. Knight d5, great move.
Yeah, knight d5, basically trying not to exchange those knights. Also maybe eyeing the f4 square, although White can press onward with a move like c4, and that's what happens. David is definitely trying to take more space. It is a very, very impressive game right now.
And it would be even more impressive if he went c5 to establish an outpost, a stronghold for his knight on d6. Rook c1, though, also very solid move. Maybe he's preparing c5, just wants to add an extra defender, wants to make sure the queen gets x-rayed once he goes c5.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, so finally we do see castle kingside happen. Joshua has finally connected the rooks, but this armada of pawns must be pushed, and we'll see if David press onward. He does with c5. Excellent decision.
Okay, and c6 is also possible. You don't have to use the pawn as an anchor for the knight, but you can. You could also advance it to c6, and that would be a protected passed pawn. So Joshua trying to create counterplay on the other side of the board. Queen jumps out to f4. The h4 pawn is also hanging. Now I would push it to h5 first and then maybe play c6 or vice versa.
I love this c6 move, just starting with it, just disconnecting those black rooks. That bishop has to go back to c8 or e8. The h4 pawn, frankly, is irrelevant if White is able to press onward in the center, although it will definitely give Black practical chances, given that Black knight might be hopping around, the king on g1 might feel a touch airy. You gotta like White here.
Yeah, indeed. And h5. I mean, very, very impressive play by both players, but especially by David, who is handling a difficult strategic position with a lot of precision and with no blunders, which to me is the most impressive aspect, just how clean the chess that's being played has been. And the blunders might start happening as they get lower on the clock and as there's more tactical tension. Ooh, speaking of which.
Yeah, this playing g3 was a very, very interesting choice. You know, basically trying to challenge that 9h4. I do think it might give Black some practical chances with a few checks. They might basically scare off White a little bit. But, you know, if that knight on h4 is eliminated, then there's no counterplay to speak of. And I think that's pretty much what David is thinking about. I also must say the time usage has been really, you know, both players have been really managing their time quite well.
Indeed they have. Over 2 minutes now for both sides. Knight f3 check. Will lose the knight if White brings the king up fearlessly to g2. But, I mean, and he does. Not fearing knight e1. That square is protected. There goes the knight. He can just pick it up with his queen. And I don't... Yep, there it is. I mean, that should be game. Man. Black is paralyzed.
You heard that from you heard it from Josh.
Yeah.
He realizes what's just happened. And a5.
Wow, 96, dude. He's playing like a GM right now.
Very impressive stuff. I will say, you know, David has to convert this. I do like the king coming to e4. It's very aesthetically pleasing to have this king of the hill style king, but this knight needs to get in action too, and it seems like David has his eyes set on the b6 pawn.
And that's the big problem for Black. You can't defend it with rook b8 because of c7 forking the rooks. Instead, he's using his pawns as a battering ram to clear the path for his d-pawn, which will become a pass pawn after the e-pawn is inevitably removed. Also a good winning plan.
And it's, again, full board control. It's really amazing to see this level of control by David because it's hard to do, but it's really well done. I should also point out that chat is also picking David to win it all. So we'll see if chat is right about that, but chat is right now favoring David.
That was a slightly too diffident of a move. Rook D1, there was an immediate win with C7. And I found that, newer players, intermediate players sometimes do struggle figuring out when to push past pawns. Like, they'll make all the preparatory steps, and then they won't deliver the final blow. And again, C7 wins the game. But this time he finds it. And the knight's coming to D6, and that'll be all she wrote.
Yeah. And I must say that's something that, all levels of players struggle with sometimes, figuring out when to actually execute the final blow. But look at these pawns. These pawns are marching down the yellow brick road, and just to put the rook behind the pawn, that's a nice final touch. Totally unnecessary, but look at these puppies on C7 and D7. Woo!
So impressive. This has been, and control, I think, is the best word to use for this game, because we've seen so many games where you don't know what's going on. There's swings and twists and turns. This game has been basically a wire-to-wire victory for David Kasemervisz. It's not like Joshua made any huge mistakes. He just got soundly positionally outplayed.
I was a little bit concerned about, the stalemating possibilities here because David seems to not really want to checkmate. But okay, now he has.
Now he does. Yeah.
All right.
There we go. Okay. Game 1 goes to David Kasemervisz. And if he plays like this, Joshua doesn't have much of a chance.
Yeah, I mean, very, very impressive stuff. We're going to see Joshua probably bust out E4 here in a must-win situation, and we'll see if it's truly best by test.
Indeed. And the second game is underway. I'm going to pull that one up. We wanted to update you on some of the other results here. We're going to have James Pogorelc winning against Jaden Slocum. That game is basically over. We have Ari Patu and CJ Hawkins with a lead for Ari, and then Fisher and Zach Buckey are going to draw their first game. So that match is promising to be a close one. But let's go to a Stafford Gambit in the second game between Joshua and David missing an early chance there, Casa, to put that knight on G4. I think he's playing a little bit too fast here.
Yeah. Excuse me. That is the one that you look for in these types of positions.
Yeah.
Knight G4, hitting F2. I will say, from a practical perspective, it could still be quite challenging to reckon with this in a shorter time control game where Black does have a slight lead in development. But if Joshua is able to castle himself, he'll be just fine and basically just a clean pawn out.
Yep. And Bishop G5, great awareness of weak squares. Black is starting to run out of concrete ideas, but this is something that David has shown a lot of, which is just patience, right? A lot of players, when they exhaust the obvious ideas, they start making drastic moves. But David has shown a willingness to slowly improve his position. The eval bar Casa hated the move F4, and I think it's because it yields a massive point on G4, and then F6 could trap the bishop.
Yeah, no question about it. Also good. That F2 point is really weak, difficult to cover, and really you're looking at a move like Rook F1, just temporarily parry the threat, but you're not going to feel great about that. We'll see how Josh deals with this.
Well, he must deal with it, and he does deal with it with Rook F1. Knight G4, hitting where it hurts. Another excellent sequence for David Kasemervisz, and this is already crisis time for Josh. I don't see how he defends.
It must be said, too, that, essentially David has made all the natural Stafford Gambit moves. Like the rooks are where they usually are, the bishop on C5, the knight coming to G4. So he's playing with excellent pattern recognition now. It's quite clear from the moves that he knows where they should go, and that's why he's also up on time, because they're really making natural moves in a gambit he's for sure looked at before.
And now it makes sense why his teammates consider him to be the strongest player. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. Joshua was temporarily higher rated and rapid, but these players are on completely different levels. David is playing like a 2000 right now.
Yeah, f6 just very, very savvy, trapping that bishop. You can also see a knight come to e3 at some point, although it just got snapped off. I would have considered taking with the bishop just because it would have been nice to cut across the diagonal and prevent white from castling, but taking with the pawn is also sufficient. This bishop on g5 is just trapped.
It is indeed sufficient, and f5 is an attempt to snare and spare the bishop, but obviously David was not born yesterday. He's going to pick that bishop up. He's now up a piece, but there's work left to do, and he starts that work by forcing the queens off the board, which is what you are advised to do when you're up material. I might have kept the queens on the board, but this is definitely not a bad way to convert the advantage.
Yeah, it's definitely a matter of taste, although I do want to give credit to Joshua here. Like, keeping the pawn chain the way he has in the center, you can at least say that the light squared bishop of black on d7 is a bit restricted. I could see a scenario where somehow white plays g3, maybe rook f4, rook takes g4. I mean, maybe a king gets to d2, so bishop takes f5 isn't a problem. There are too many moves that need to happen, Ganya, but there was a scenario where these pawns basically restrict that light squared bishop, and maybe you start to feel like you have some compensation for the piece.
Yeah, but that h4 pawn should have been defended by Joshua. He's also down 90 seconds on the clock. I think David just senses that he's in control of this match, and confidence is very easily felt. Like, you can feel when one player is more confident than the other. Josh is starting to blunder all of his pawns. This game is going to be over if black takes on e4, or even plays bishop, or even rook takes f5 and bishop f5. I think that's the best move in the position.
Yeah, he was setting it up. He was setting it up the whole time. And are we going to have a checkmate in the middle of the board here? Because we're getting closer. We are getting closer. I could see a really nice story arc here with a b5, 8, or something along those lines.
This is terrifying. What's scary is that I think we might see a mate, although now it's a little less likely with the king dropping back to d3. But what's scary is that Josh hasn't been in this game at all. Like, he got wire-to-wire outplayed. All David needs in the last two games is a draw. He is very, very likely to be taking this edition of BlitzChamps Casa, but we count the eggs when they've hatched.
Yeah, and just the control. The control has been really impressive. You can see the calm, cool, collected composure of David. David's smiling. He's talking to his boy over here.
No, I'm saying
Joshua has the look of dismay.
What's the is it what?
Yeah, he just ran into a brick wall.
Oh, that was the no way. It's 25. That's 25. Oh yeah,
yeah, it looks like Pogorelc is going to likely take his match as well against Slocum for third place.
All right, so preserving this bishop on a7, not strictly necessary, but you see this a lot. Again, covering pieces that are attacked, you can respect it. But David has more than enough here, more than enough.
Yeah, he's setting up bishop takes c5, which is going to eliminate one of white's last few pieces. He's also got plenty of extra time on the clock, so I would resign this, but, you know, why not play on? Always the possibility of stalemate.
For sure, for sure. And, you know, again, it's not over yet. I mean, again, I'm still talking about, you know, the white player here is super clutch in football, and there's no reason he can't be clutch over the chessboard. This is still a match that's alive. So, you know, we'll let this play out. But even with a 2-0 advantage, Joshua will have a chance. So let's just keep it moving. But I see this pawn now marching down the yellow brick road. Yeah. It will be a queen. Might want to punt on this rook and set up some stalemate ideas.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to... Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. But you might want to keep that rook... Oh, well, I was going to say you wanted to keep that rook on h7, but there is no rook anymore. And I think it's all over. Oh, don't go queen f1, though.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, typically...
Okay, it's
pre-move the ladder. Yeah, we've seen this before.
Wow. Damn, girl.
Impressive. You tend to do that, don't you? Pre-move?
A couple times. I don't really remember how to do that, though. And Joshua just kind of stretching, allowing himself a little smile. He knows the magnitude of this next game. He can't even afford a draw. Like, he has to win the next two. and then he's got to win the overtime game. But right now he has one game. He's got to win it, and it all starts with a good opening.
Yeah. We know he's going to play e4. The question is, what is he going to do after that? And yeah, we'll find out.
Ooh, David with a Ponciani. Okay. And a great, great, great opening against less experienced e5 players. Because in the Ponciani, you have a very clear idea of controlling the center. And once you get that center, Black just has a very hard time developing the way that he would want to.
Yeah, no question about it. And really now, just having that massive center is just extremely adversarial for Black. Queen b3 setting up the d6 move. Joshua has to shut that down.
Yeah, absolutely, he does. He should play d6, and he does.
Very well.
Actually a pretty decent position for Black here in the early going of this game.
Yeah, now it's way more tenable. You get your knight to f6, you castle, you get the other knight to g6, and all of a sudden that queen on b3 is just misplaced. And so is the bishop on c4 ultimately. So Josh might be getting out of this opening alive, even though he didn't know exactly what to do. But David puts the pressure on e5, really trying to pry open that diagonal, not taking no for an answer.
I gotta say, I mean, that move didn't really occur to me, but the more I look at it, the more I appreciate its value, because from a basic level, you've got a big space advantage. And when you've got a space advantage, opening up the center allows you to exploit it more easily. And knight takes c5, good pre-move, good time advantage. David is just totally in control. I think that word has been the epitome of this match, control.
Yeah, this bishop on b6 is really the saving grace of Black's position, because at least you could say that the knight on e5 might not be that easily anchored. You know, f4 might essentially weaken the white king.
But
e6, what a move!
Wow.
What a move!
Snap, crackle, pop, and he opens up the diagonal. This is a thematic. It's not a sacrifice because you win the pawn back on f7. Oh, and Joshua is starting to reel here. I think he doesn't believe that he can do this anymore.
Yeah, and knight takes f7 is incoming.
Ooh,
although
taken with the bishop.
Bishop was more savvy, yeah, because there would have been other. Now all of a sudden Black gets back in the game. This king on e1 is exposed.
But I'm worrying about Joshua's ability to navigate his way out of the complications, and yet he finds the best move, which is queen e8 check.
That one I would have expected of him, because it was the only one to not lose the queen. Only queen move to not lose the queen immediately. Now the game will get interesting. What will Joshua do after this king move? King d1. Okay, so he elects to go to an endgame, which is very much in his favor. Again, Joshua Karty is Mr. 61-yard field goal. He is clutch, so this is not over yet.
It's not over yet. I think I wouldn't give this a +3 evaluation. I think it's actually a lot closer than that, because handling the minor pieces requires a good understanding of where the pieces belong. And if you just start randomly throwing out checks, white is going to coordinate. White is going to go king e2, rook d1, rook e1. And I think that's exactly what David is doing. And Joshua has to figure out a way to make progress here. Very important, though, I would tuck this king away on f2 just to avoid any problems along the e-file. And, ooh, b3 is a really, really bad move.
Yeah, and just to kind of further echo some of those sentiments with minor pieces, a lot of times those minor pieces like outposts. So there aren't any like pawns in the center to kind of anchor the minor pieces. So it can be a little bit trickier, although Joshua's got all the right moves right now. This rook is lined up against the king on e2. You can clear in a myriad of ways. Okay, he gives this check instead. Still in the driver's seat, although it would have been more advantageous to try and clear those bishops out of the way of the rook on e8.
Every one of David's moves right now is a big mistake. Like, he has lost control of this game, and you can almost feel it. Although still, Joshua has to actually find the crushing blow. And after a move like rook e1, my worry is that Joshua might not see one of those game-winning tactics like knight takes f3 and bishop takes c3, although that should be well within his capabilities.
Yeah, it's a tough position for David. I do like that despite the disadvantage in the position, he is still up on the clock, and that might factor in if this game goes much longer. So, yeah, Josh is trying to find a way.
Moment.
Knight takes f3 is here. It is available.
It's a
but we'll
crushing
find
move.
it.
He doesn't play a bad move. He takes on h2. He just kind of keeps the tension. And how is David going to try to untangle here? I mean, I would play the other rook to c1, then maybe go knight e4, and try to generate practical threats that milk Black's clock further down. Joshua hasn't been all that great in all-out time scramble. So this is, I think, David's biggest hope right now.
No question. That knight on d4 is such a monster that you just don't want to move it, though. Like it totally neutralizes the king on d1.
Whoa!
Was that on purpose? That's the question. It's not a terrible move, but was it on purpose? What do you think, Danya?
Well, I think it was. I think he wants knight takes b3 check, but he's blundered knight d6. He's blundered knight d6, and he missed it.
Defending a check with it
way too fast.
Defending a check with a counter check is super difficult to see. So I understand why it happened, but now Joshua's gotten the desired exchanges, and David does not look as comfortable as he did in the previous game. That much is certain. He is not. He has his hands on the mouse. He's looking pretty locked in, not talking to anyone. And now it's time for Joshua to start playing Pac-Man with these pieces. Get these pieces off the board with more than enough time to win the game.
Yeah, this is easy. I mean, at this point, you just push the pawns. Everything's protected, so there's less of a possibility of blundering when, I mean, all of his pieces are on light squares, so it's not like...
I'm not going to speak that soon.
Yeah, we've seen crazier things happen for sure in these types of tournaments. I mean,
Knight G4, trade the bishop. Okay, Knight G4, H5, that worked.
Knight G4, even now, even stronger.
Seems like he's got
he just
H4.
Takes away, yeah, he's got this in the bag.
All right.
Or not.
I don't know, I'm getting a little nervous. I want to see some of these pawns or pieces come off the board.
I also want to see him start moving. He's taking about 10 seconds a move here. And if David can withstand this for, another 10 moves or so, once Joshua gets under a minute, he'll start getting nervous. But he's accelerating the pace of his play, and he's starting to push his pawns, which is really,
E5.
really good.
Excellent choice. H4.
Rook D3. Okay, bringing up his king.
I love that.
No stalemate, though, because a stalemate wins the match for David.
Can you imagine a stalemate winning for the win? That'd be insane.
No, that would be insane.
Bishop E4, excellent choice.
It's not as far from a stalemate as it may appear.
Yeah. All right, now the pieces are coming off. I do trust Josh now to secure this one. He's rerouting the bishop back to c6. Maybe. Hopefully.
Stalemate is still possible, but David has to have the wherewithal to give up his bishop. Oh, he's going to take h4, though.
Uh-oh.
Wait a second. It's not over yet. Oh,
now
my
it's
gosh.
totally changed. Do not give up the g-pawn also.
No. And he doesn't. He realizes that.
All right.
But still, he's got some work to do. He's got 40 seconds now on the clock.
All right, this has changed. The dynamic has changed.
This would be all I need to win it.
And there goes the pawn, though. David should give his bishop up for the pawn before it promotes and try to flag his opponent.
And Josh needs to get this bishop to c6. It has been needed for a while.
Take g3 would make some sense. Knight f4. There he goes.
What?
King up. Ooh, I don't know about that one, though.
All right, at least there's no stalemate possibilities now.
Well, there will be pretty soon, though.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my goodness.
Black is stalemated. If white had a b-pawn to push to b4, that would have been made. 18 seconds, Casa. This is suddenly going down to the wire.
This feels stalematey to me. I'm a little concerned now. I'm finally concerned.
It's mate in 2. Don't play bishop b4. No! Does he see the mate in 2? It's b2 and bishop b4.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
6 seconds. He's got less. He still has mate. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. B2 is stalemate. Oh, that's it. He's giving away the pawn. Now it's a draw. David Kasemervisz wins. No way.
Wow. That was tough.
It's not how you want to win.
No.
Wow, clinching the match with a draw on time. That was not expected. That was definitely not expected. But yeah, tough one for tough pill to swallow for Josh. But David was the better player over the course of the match.
Wow, I'm honestly speechless. That was just ridiculous resilience for David Kasemervisz, who didn't give up, found the best practical chances, and made his opponent nervous. He is the deserving winner of Stanford BlitzChamps, Kase.
Draws like that. Yeah.
Impressive stuff. So
indeed, and we have, what do we have? We have most of our results except the Zach, Buckey, Fisher, Anderson match.
All right, so shall we take a gander over there briefly? So Fisher Anderson was impressed us early on when he was in the winner's bracket. He definitely was not an easy out. And now they're 1.5 actually. Him and Zach Buckey, excuse me. So they're still fighting.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to pull the game up here.
That's a terrible fiction.
And we will after that we will go on a break, but let's go back to our bird's eye view for the time being while we search for the game. It's on the lower right side of your screen. Looks like a promising. Ooh, Zach could have won a piece there by taking the knight first.
Yeah,
I feel like they've had a lot of end games.
It has been the case, yeah, that the queens have come off the board, or there've just been a cleanup on aisle 5 situation where all the pieces get mopped up and then one side has to actually deliver checkmate. So that's definitely been the story arc in a number of these games. But Fisher defending that bishop on d6, dropping it back to c7, that's a good choice. Material is equal. If black manages to castle and get out of dodge here, you'll start to prefer black's pawn structure, given that white has this isolati on d4 that could be a weakness down the line.
Indeed, and black has castled kingside. Looks pretty tame, pretty balanced here in this endgame. And white's probably going to castle queenside would be my guess, and quickly deploy the rooks into the center.
Yeah, h4. That's one of those moves that's like has aggressive intentions, and the question is, where's the ammunition? Where's the fire? So this h pawn is marching, and we'll figure out how far it goes.
No queen, no fire.
So
double elimination. Yeah, indeed. I would have liked to play
rook e8 maybe. Goes rook f7. I thought you could have pinned the knight there against the king. Rook f7 is also decent. This could honestly go either way. Like, it's impossible to evaluate this in the context of the game that's being played.
And this game can determine the consolation final here. So if there's a win for one of these guys, that will get them to the magic 2.5 score. So you can see they're not really talking; they're just playing. They're locked in right now.
Yeah, they know the magnitude of this game. Now that pawn could have been captured by black. Instead, he goes rook e8. Now knight d6 is a tempting move, which leads to a trade, but that then leads to a potential discovered attack by black's rook.
Yeah, it'd be funny in that scenario if the pawn is on d6 that the bishop blocks the check by going bishop to e7. That'd be a funny way to do it and potentially effective. But
very effective because d7 could come next there.
You definitely gotta prefer black here. All right, rook d1. All right, now that e5 pawn can be snacked on, and we'll see if it happens. If it happens, all of a sudden that king on e1 will feel very airy.
Rook f4 is a very decent move, though. Now knight d6 feels like it has to be played. He blunders the knight. He actually encouraged black to take it.
Yeah, and now I think
it's made in
Fisher's going to be in the driver's seat. If we see that, that'll be a crazy finish. Bishop e6, knight g5. My goodness.
But bishop e5, I mean, he's not making the best moves, but he's doing just enough, I think, to win this game. He's up a full knight. White's king is caught on the crossfire. I would start checking it. Rook f8.
Yeah, rook f8. I think every player in this event has been familiar with the ladder. So I think we're going to hopefully see some ladder checks right now. Maybe even a mate. The knight on e6 can factor in that. Those pawns are irrelevant, Fisher. Play rook f8.
Yeah, and that's something I was discussing a year or so ago with a close friend who teaches a lot of beginners. How one of the hardest hurdles to cross is you get the position where you're up a piece or you're up a queen, and actually checkmating can be some of the hard. I mean, it's like incredibly hard for players to, in their mind, to come up with a mating construction. When I was teaching Charlie for the first BlitzChamps, he struggled with that tremendously. Like, he did everything right, but when push came to shove, he couldn't quite put the finishing touches on the game.
Yeah, and the way I always like to say it is, the terms and conditions change over the course of a game, and so understanding when those terms and conditions change, when we sign things, right? When we get little updates from products and so on, no one tells us. We sometimes we don't read the documentation. It's the same thing in chess. You have to just understand that the terms and conditions have changed.
That's a great way of putting it. And right now, the terms and conditions change again because Fischer has made a hash out of this conversion. He's blundered his knight in one move, and this might be another draw.
This might just be, although I feel like we're going to have some drama yet still.
It's
Black
very
is a pawn
unlikely.
up, and it's hard to hold these if you don't know how. If you don't have a ton of experience in rook end games, they are not easy to handle, and the details, the devil is in the details.
But I think Black is just as likely to lose this as White is. Like, if Black drops the B pawn and White's A pawn starts rolling up the board, you might see all three results are just eminently possible here.
I actually expect Fischer to probably go rook c2 and trade the B and A pawns. Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
King f6, good move.
That was sweet. That was good stuff.
Okay, 1 minute for Black though. That could also end up being a problem.
Yeah, King e5. Okay, not the square that I was expecting, but it's viable here. G5. Okay, the h6 pawn.
Uh-oh. Fischer
is looking around, saying, "Did I get this right? Did I get this right?"
He's fishing for some kingside action here. Rook c2 check, I guess, is the move here. King g1.
Oh yeah, that king is Sherman's March-esque, walking toward the one on f1. There is definitely great potential here.
Now the thing is, if Black takes, now will Fischer realize that he has to go forward? If he goes back, then he might lose on time. He's going to go to f3, and that's winning. King f3.
Wait, maybe I can.
Oh my gosh, it's a mate threat.
This is beautiful. This would be a nice way to end it. And does he look at Fischer's face right now? He realizes the potential in this position here. If it's his move, he's talking. He's looking at. He's looking at David. He's like, "Yo, I got this."
But look at his clock. He's down to 29 seconds, and if White can keep his rook alive for a while, then this is a 3-result game.
This is what we call the Lucena position. We are very close to conjuring the winning version of a pawn-up ending. It is hard to do if you've not done it before and you're not familiar, but you can Google that one, folks, Lucena.
And White is basically repeating moves. Is this going to be a draw? I think Fischer is playing for a win here.
Buckey?
And it's a draw. Or will White play for a win by trying to flag?
Exactly. I think that's what's happening. We might have a repetition before.
Are you serious?
And we're going to have overtime.
Yes, you are.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Unbelievable. That was the least likely result. And they still have to play 1 3-minute game.
Bro.
Ooh. What a turnaround. What a turnaround.
That is the worst.
That should have been a win for Fischer. It should have been a resounding win. Instead, Zach Buckey pulls out a draw, and they're going to play one more game.
Yeah, this is our second tiebreaker. This is shocking, I must say. We had none in our Michigan edition of BlitzChamps, so it's kind of funny. I think this is our second one today, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe these guys just like they like overtime. I mean, they got a clutch kicker. So.
They definitely do, and we should start that game momentarily. It'll be a 3+0 game, so no increment, 3 minutes per side. And I don't know what the procedure is if that game is drawn, because the way that they're playing, I think it's a very likely result.
I'm gonna count on a flag here. Actually, I think 3-0. It's gonna be much faster than before, and I suspect it'll be hard to adjust.
Indeed. And okay, so the game should be starting now. Zach and Fischer will be duking it out with colors reversed. So Fischer will be white, and Zach will be black. All right. Let's get this show on the road.
The suspense, the drama.
All right, so just waiting for the game to begin here. And we will pull that game up as soon as the players are ready. Okay, looks like the players are ready. Yeah, not sure. Not sure what the holdup is here, but looks like we're just getting a couple technical details in place.
Yeah, I think the tie break, determining the pairings for the tie break for who gets what color, was determined by the cap score. So for those that are unaware, are not sure what the cap score is, it is essentially the score based upon their previous games is going to determine who actually gets what color.
Indeed. And obviously at this level the color doesn't really make much of a difference, and it really doesn't matter. I would think that they will alternate colors again, but I guess because they've played 4 games, they both have 2 whites and 2 blacks, so hence the cap score to determine who's playing which color.
It's funny, Daniel, when I was younger, I actually had a better score and actually preferred playing with black, and then the more experience I had as a chess player, the more I valued the white pieces and just being able to have more control. But it is totally true that I think in the early days, color can be really quite negligible for a lot of players. I feel like as you get stronger, it starts to change.
Yeah, and I mean, I used to like playing black, actually. There was a period in my life where my black openings were better than my white openings. And I was actually scoring a lot better with the Najdorf and the King's Indian, and with white I was just kind of jumping between openings. So I would say really only at a master level plus does it really start mattering. A lot of it has to do with which openings you're more comfortable with. So if you like playing the Najdorf with black, then you're going to prefer black. If you have a good London system with white, then you're going to prefer white.
The funny thing is very few people actually wind up switching, just trying to play their black openings with white. It's if you like the Sicilian so much, play the English. Anyway, we have our scoreboard here, so why don't we talk about that?
Indeed, we have James Pogorelc, who crushes Jaden Slocum to get the third place. Joshua Karty, of course, we were commentating that final. He wins. He loses 2.5 in that crazy scintillating final game, which ended in a draw, giving David the trophy. Ari Patu defeats CJ Hawkins, and we are about to start the tiebreaker between Fisher Anderson and Zach Buckey. It appears that their cap score was only 0.15 apart, and it looks like Fisher's cap score was a little bit higher, but Kasa, I don't think that his white color is helping him at all, given the position that they have on the board here.
Yeah, it looks like it's trouble in paradise. This queen has wreaked havoc across the board, and E3 is definitely available right now, but it doesn't even go for it. Zach is like, I'm good. I've taken enough pieces. Maybe it's time to get the rest of them out. And it's going to be tough for Fisher to turn things around. But this is a 3-minute game, so watch this clock.
Indeed, clock is going to be crucial. But right now, I'm impressed with Black's handling off the time. Zach Buckey bringing his knight into the game with knight f5. And you know what he's threatening, Kasa? Knight takes e3, forking mate and the queen. But White with a great response. Still, though, bishop h5, he found it! And what a turnaround!
And look at it, you can see him on screen. He was almost going to celebrate, and then he's like, you know what, let me make sure I win the game because it's not over yet. But what a turnaround. Fisher is giddy right now. You can see it in his face.
Oh my gosh, but this game is far from over. Black has to give up his queen for a minor piece. The good thing is that Fisher has already blundered a minor piece previously, so Black will have 2 pieces for the queen, and we know that 2 pieces for the queen, it really is not the end of the world. Black is actually quite solid here with no obvious weaknesses, but I love the way that Fisher is going for the kill. Queen F3 would have been much better.
But I still look at this. They're just by hook or by crook, the queen got to the f-file, and this is going to be tough.
But Zach actually doing a great job of keeping White's piece tandem at bay. He's got to get his own pieces out, though.
All right, G5, understandable move, trying to basically win that knight, take advantage of a pin.
And he will.
And G4, and the game is turned again. The game is turned again. Danya, you'd want to have black now. You would. That's a lot of material for the queen.
Fischer just not sensing the danger. He started celebrating too early. He won the queen, and he was acting like the game is over. The game is far from over.
And there's an adage that the queen is not a great blockader, right? So this is tough.
Whoa, but you can't take it because of F2. What a find by Zach. And Fischer might not have seen the knight. He might have seen it. He's going after the F-pawn, Kasa, and once he wins the F-pawn, he can at least breathe.
I actually still rate White's chances higher than black here in a practical game because the queen will just dart around the board after those rooks are traded, and it is usually hard for folks to coordinate their pieces. So I still think Fischer has pretty decent chances with this queen.
And Zach is trying to figure out a way to coordinate his pieces, but he's burned a lot of clock in so doing as he attacks White's queen. Pawn takes, no, queen e3, hitting the knight on c5.
Yeah, sensible. That queen should dart into g5 or f4. Okay, d4, okay, hitting the knight again. Attacking is good. Fischer's got a healthy advantage on the clock here.
Yep. And he pushes his pawn majority.
Hey, talk to Garrett.
This queen e3 needs some life. We'll see if it shifts over to g3 or something, but yeah, this queen is putting in work.
Indeed, and a trade on c5. Black accelerating the pace of his play, but Fischer continues to menacingly push his pawns all the way up. He could play h6 and create a pass pawn.
Rook b1 might be in the offing right here. We'll see. This is getting spicy. Fischer's getting in the tank here.
Ugh.
Queen f2. I don't know.
Ugly looking move. d4.
What? This is wild. This position is wild. Rook b2. I love that move. Just keeping an eye on everything, keeping the queen at bay. This king ought to get off the second rank. Probably just dart to g3.
And you got to get out of the second rank now. Fischer is too focused on pushing his pawns. Will he see? Yes, he will. But now you got to avoid stumbling into a fork. Don't go king up. Don't go king up.
Super difficult to navigate. Yeah, king f1, excellent choice. This is awesome suspense. This is our last game, and look at the
24 seconds, Kasa. But Black is trying to figure out a way to deliver checkmate, and in so doing, he's dropped again on the clock.
Queen e5 check? No. Queen e5, you got to give that check.
Oh, he might make another queen.
He wants two queens. Two queens with a board full of pieces. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. And this king is getting out. It's going to run. It's got its running shoes on.
He had a knight fork. Oh, he's going to make a queen.
A second queen. Oh, my goodness. No, we did not just see a second queen.
Unbelievable. Will he checkmate with 28 seconds on the clock, Kasa? God himself can only stop White from winning this game. Queen e7's mate.
I think this
Fischer's
is pre-move.
got it. And he does. And he jumps up in celebration.
Whoa, what a
game.
Two queens running around the board. That king had the dancing shoes on, ran to h4. The other king ran to d7. What a tiebreak there. Wow.
Unbelievable. And Fischer Anderson blundering a piece in the opening. His rook was hanging. He was dead in the water. And he finds, it's all credit to him. He fishes for that trick with bishop h5. And once he delivered that, it was pretty smooth sailing all the way through to the end, Kasa. What a finish to this match. And Fischer Anderson takes the tiebreaker and secures 5th place for himself.
Yeah, and we had Ari in the background just there, the quarterback. He said he liked queens, so Fischer also put in some work with the queens. So awesome job there. But yeah, our overall champion, David Kasemervisz, very impressive, beating Joshua Karty. It was an impressive final, control all the way through, and hats off.
Hats off indeed. He defeats Joshua Karty, and we see the final bracket there. Big shout out to David Kasemervisz, and he will also be joining us for the interview. So, folks, we are going to take a little break. We're going to set David up. There's the consolation bracket for you, and a big shout-out to Fisher Anderson, who just took the tiebreaker against Zach Buckey. But we will have David Kasemervisz for you for the interview. I'm losing my voice a little bit, Kasa, so I apologize for that. It's been a very long day. But we'll go on a short break, folks, here at the Stanford BlitzChamps, and we'll have the winner of the event on for an interview in just a bit.
This right here is how I use Chessable and why. I've been using it for a long time. I mean, if you look up here, I actually have my streak. It says 1,231 days, right? You're gonna forget a lot of the things that are in the book. Chessable came around. When I got on Chessable, it's literally, I was already doing that. So this is now a game changer because I can do it faster. It's online, it's in front of me. All of my books are here. There's gonna be folders now so I can categorize by white, black, and tactics in game. But I literally have everything in one area. As you see, I'm scrolling here. This is why I like this. So they're like, how many Chessable books you got? I'm like, all of them. How I use Chessable is actually, I do a lot for the opening training. I do tactics on here. I do calculation. I do in-game. I do everything but the database. All my training on here all the time. Chessable is the wave. This is why I like to use Chessable. It's actually helped me. I remember even online, I was only like capping out at 2350, almost 2400 in Blitz and Bullet. My Chess.com is 26 with a high of 2774 in Bullet. And I blame all of this, like success really is just working on Chessable. Just being honest with you.
Chess Kid is fun. Chess is great for the brain, but it's also fun to play. And Chess Kid makes it easy to have fun. Whether your child is a total beginner or a prodigy, they can hop on and find a well-matched opponent from around the world at any time. Chess Kid is the safe, parent-approved way for your child to play chess online. Chess Kid is educational. To kids, it feels just like playing, but chess is a great way to learn patience, strategy, and critical thinking. Chess Kid features a comprehensive training program that guides kids to level up on their way to mastery. There are more than 50,000 chess puzzles and a whole library of entertaining videos that teach strategies, tactics, openings, and endgames specifically for kids. Chess Kid is easy. Whether you're a parent helping your child, a coach managing dozens of kids, or a school of hundreds. Signing up is free and easy, so what are you waiting for?
Move over, Mittens. There's a new top dog in town. Benji the Bernadoodle might be an international master of fetch, but chess lessons with his dad, Gotham Chess, aren't really sticking. Host of his own public access TV show, Wishboy knows a thing or two about the most dramatic moment in chess history. A baller through and through, Buddy Buckets is moving his game from the basketball court to the chessboard. Watch out! Pinky practices chess from the inside of his mom's handbag on Woofstock's law campus. Don't judge a dog by its Diamante collar. Ponchik learned chess from his dad, GM Levon Aronian. He has never lost to another dog at chess and certainly won't lose to you. This July, the possumness is unleashed on Chess.com.
Welcome back to BlitzChamps Stanford edition. Another exciting day of chess has wrapped up, and we have our winner and our runner-up in the studio for an interview. Two star football players, David Kasemervisz, the winner, and Joshua Karty, the kicker whom he defeated, are ready to answer some questions. David, first and foremost, congratulations to you. It was a pleasure to commentate both of your games. Super, super high-level final. So, David, your immediate thoughts on reaffirming your dominance over the rest of your teammates. How do you feel?
Oh, it felt great, and it was great to win, but it was a difficult one. The draw on time. You know, it's not how you want to win. It's bad form, but it was a win nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it was definitely super entertaining to watch. Like especially towards the end, it was like, is Joshua going to finish his job? What's going to happen here? So, but just to follow up there, David, are you guys competitive off of the football field and everything you guys are doing? Like how do you feel like it's important to be like competitive in various disciplines in the off season, or is it mostly the football field where it's contained?
Oh yeah, certainly we're competitive in both regions. I mean, we like to play a bunch of other games. You know, we'll play a lot of Clash Royale as a team. We have a plan on that. So, you know, lots of tournaments, always competing, and we played chess against each other quite a bit. I've played everybody in this room. I played Ari, every day for about 2 weeks at breakfast, getting ready for this tournament. So, yeah, we've been excited about it.
That was intel we did not have beforehand, Danya.
Yeah,
I think they kept it a secret so that so that Ari could do his queen trap. He take my queen.
So that's specific. I forget the name of the opening, but the one he had against Karty, Ari, like 30 minutes before the game, we went over that. He was like, "What do you have that could trap Karty?" And we talked about it. It worked out, so it was perfect.
We were stunned, honestly, by knight takes f7, bishop g6, and winning the queen on d8. But unfortunately, finishing the job is always difficult. I had just one more question. I went to Stanford, so it's great to see this kind of interest in chess. Joshua, I'll start with you. Could you share a little bit about your time at Stanford, what your major is, and just generally your experiences thus far, and then I'll get to David.
Yeah, no, I've had a great time. I'll be entering my senior year, so been here for 3 years. I'm a computer science major, so you know, definitely like a lot of the strategy and stuff and the problem solving aspects of life, and that's how I like chess especially. But yeah, to back on what Kaz was talking about, we play games against each other all the time. You know, between meetings, like some downtime, we just like, you know, try and beat each other at everything. And this is really fun. I'm really glad that we were able to set this up. I thought it was a long shot at first, but you know, it worked out great.
David,
another question I have for you, Joshua. So this is a new regime, essentially. You got a new coach, Coach Taylor. What's it been like, basically, thus far with him, and how are you guys kind of looking forward to the season and everything?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a change, you know, from the top down, from Coach Taylor to the strength staff. So I think there's a much bigger energy everywhere you go. Everybody's bought in right now. It's really great to see, and we're all just really excited to just like see what we can bring to the season.
Well, we had a chat question for you, David, from Go60Go, who asks, would David try to play the Michigan champ? Obviously, the Michigan BlitzChamps were held a couple of weeks ago to be the Chess Rose Bowl champ. Would you be interested in exploring that avenue?
No, I would love to do that. That was something we talked about before getting on the stream, was if they do this at various universities, could they get together and do a tournament of all the winners? So we would love to see that happen, whether it was just me and the Michigan champ or if more universities were to get involved.
I actually know the Michigan champ because I was doing commentary for that, Danya, was, I believe, Cornelius Johnson, a wideout, Michigan wideout. So it's a little wideout dynamic here. Maybe there's some in the water, some in the training there.
Yeah, no, we especially be down, whether it's just the two top guys or if they want to run the whole team against our team, like, you know, we'll be there.
Yeah. So yeah, well, we can maybe coordinate that, figure that out.
Absolutely. We will get on that. But David, Joshua, it was a pleasure to commentate your games. We want to let you rest after a long day of chess. So David, congrats to you. Joshua, that was a great fight. And thanks again for playing some awesome chess today.
No problem.
Thank you guys for hosting.
Take care.
Thanks. And a final look at the bracket there. We had David Kasemervisz reaffirming his dominance over his teammates. That scintillating final against Joshua Karty, that final game, Kasa, could have gone either way, but in the end, it's David's control, his opening preparation, and his tactical vision that seals the deal.
Yeah, we had the two best guys in the finals, and we were privy to a treat. I mean, it was really, really fun to commentate. There were twists and turns along the way, and I had a blast doing it with you, Danya. So thank you. It was a pleasure.
Kasa, it was likewise a pleasure. I'm having some long days today playing Bullet, but this is so fun. It was a good way for me to unwind, and great to see Stanford chess continuing to expand and so many athletes into our amazing game. And on that note, folks, we wish you a great rest of your day. We hope you enjoyed Stanford BlitzChamps. We'll have more of these events coming for you in the future. And don't forget the FIDE Women's World Championship coming your way on 3 a.m. Eastern right now, this Friday, in just a couple of hours with Jen Shahade and Javanka Huska. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one, and we'll see you for another BlitzChamps event soon.